Okay, everyone, we are back. Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, back for a week 3 recap, week 4 preparation as we go through every single game from last week, every single player, fantasy relevant player, talk about FAAB waiver wire pickups within those games to get you ready for week 4, get all the happenings from week 3, everything that I saw, try to watch as many games as I could. Like to go back and rewatch everything on the Game Rewind on NFL Plus. I was only able to get to a few games, but did get a good grasp of most of the games. I mean, I watched had like 3 or 4 TVs up, so I was watching most of the games. Got a pretty good idea of what was going on. I think obviously it's better when you could go back and rewatch everything. You could see every little nook and cranny. That's what I try to do, but it's a hard thing to do. To have all that time, 40, every game takes about 40 minutes to watch. And then I write up notes. This week just didn't work out. Last week was definitely didn't work out. I was just doing too much stuff. But in future weeks, I'll get an even better idea. But anyway, we're going to recap every game. We're going to get all into it. We'll get you guys ready for week 4. We'll talk about waiver wire FAAB as well. You guys have any question, comments, put it in the chat. We'll talk about it. But it was an interesting week 3. We are on to week 4. Please like, subscribe, and share. You see it below. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. We did this show week 1. We weren't on last week, but you could also catch me on the Face Off Sports Network channel on YouTube, fffaceoff.com. Usually on there Mondays, Thursdays. Fridays is going to be tough because my kids got baseball. But on there as well, also contributing to their waiver wire and stardom situm stuff. So check me out over there, fffaceoff.com. NFL Picks actually goes up there every Thursday night as well. Used to do it on this show last year. I brought it back to their show, so check it out. Face Off Sports Network. Definitely like, subscribe over there. Big part of what we're doing over there, and it's exciting. Doing a lot of big things, so go check that out. But we're going to get into it all right now, guys. Week 3 recap to get you ready for week 4 waiver wire FAAB discussion. And then on the way back, we'll get into it. Fantasy Savvy on Twitter. Go hit me up over there. Let's go. Welcome to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, discussing high-stakes fantasy football, NFL picks, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, we're back. Please like, subscribe, share, follow me on X. We are going to go all the way back to the Thursday night game. I'm not going to go too in depth about it. That game was, the Jets pretty much dominated that game. But we'll go over just a little something. There's some fantasy relevant players to talk about and some waiver wire pickups within that game for sure. First off, the Pacers are a hot mess. Jacoby Brissett was terrible. Antonio Gibson, Ramondre Stevenson did absolutely nothing. Ramondre was a complete dud after 2 good weeks. I talked about it on the NFL Pick Show last week. Again, catch me on the Face Off Sports Network. I'm going to recap every Thursday night game after the Thursday night, and then I go into my NFL picks. We'll be doing that this Thursday as well. Demario Douglas, though, 7 for 69. They talked about getting him more involved. They got him more involved. He had 9 targets. I think he's the best receiver on the team. And then when I think Drake May gets in there, he could be even more of a consistent option. So that's a guy that I don't mind picking up. I'm not so excited with Brissett still there, but definitely watching Demario Douglas. I'm not so high on Jalen Polk, but certainly it could get better with Drake May as well. And the Patriots are going to move to Drake May sooner or later. I mean, it's going to happen. The Patriots are going to continue to lose. They're going to be 1-5 or 2-7, whatever, 2-6. Hopefully it's within the next, month they go to Drake May and we get to see what he's got. And you could, if he struggles, you can always go back to freaking Jacoby Brissett, but you're not going to go anywhere with Jacoby Brissett. And we kind of got a sign of that last week. Hunter Henry comes back down to earth. He's going to be very inconsistent. If you need tight end desperation, I don't mind it. But on the other side, more importantly for the Jets, Braylon Allen should have been rostered already, but if he's not, he's proving to have standalone value. 11 for 55 on the ground, catches 3 for 13. And, with Mike Williams and his ACL and, Alan Lazard, Tyler Conklin, besides Garrett Wilson, there's not really a lot to go around. And this team does want to run the football. They want to keep Brees fresh. So Braylon Allen is kind of going to have standalone value some weeks. And it might be more weeks than not. So, and certainly if you're a Brees Hall owner, you got to have Braylon Allen on your team if he's out there. Even if not, he's an elite handcuff. He looks excellent. So that's a guy you want to stash on your bench if he's still available. The other big guy in this game was Tyler Conklin. First 2 weeks was terrible, but this guy's reliable. He's always been reliable, good hands, tough player, veteran, all those years with the Vikings. Comes to the Jets last year, was pretty decent. Had some big catches for them in some big spots. And that's a guy that Aaron Rodgers is going to lean on. Again, not a lot of weapons in the pass game. Lazard keeps it going back-to-back weeks now, but I don't know. I feel like I can't trust Alan Lazard. And I think Mike Williams is going to have more of a presence as the season goes on. So, I don't mind adding Mike Williams if he's available as well. Again, all depends on your league. All depends on who you have. And we're going to get into a lot of guys. You'll kind of get a feel of who I like the most. But Mike Williams is certainly a veteran. He certainly could have some big games. He's coming back from a major injury. He's kind of like a one-trick pony. Kind of just throw it up to him and he comes down with it. He could catch some deep ends, stuff like that as well. And he could have some big games. It's kind of going to be, kind of hard to guess when, but not a terrible stash. Things should come around for Garrett Wilson. Does get in the end zone in this game. They took a lot of shots to him, but he's went through some tough matchups. Surtain and Christian Gonzalez, and it doesn't get any easier this week. He gets Surtain this week. 49ers, L'Jarius Sneed week 2, who was one of the best corners in the league last year. Then Gonzalez. Now he gets freaking Surtain. Then next week he gets the Vikings, and then they get the Steelers. Wow, the freaking matchups for Garrett Wilson are brutal. Broncos, Vikings, Bills, Steelers, Joey Porter Jr. back to Gonzalez. Then it eases up. Texans, Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks. Seahawks got some good corners, big physical corners with Woolen. Dolphins, Jaguars, Rams, Bills, Dolphins. So yeah, it might be a very, very slow start for Garrett Wilson here. You just got to hope that, he gets into the end zone. And certainly he has the talent to beat some of these corners as well. But anyway, that's the game. 24-3 Jets. Those are the pickups within that game. Let's get into the next game here. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments, put them in the chat. I'll get to them as I'm going through these games. Pittsburgh Steelers moved to 3-0, beat the Chargers, who go to 2-1. Herbert was coming in with that ankle injury. He re-aggravated it. We saw Taylor Heineke. J.K. Dobbins was shut down in this game, just 2.9 yards per carry. Quentin Johnson gets to the end zone again. Ladd McConkey, just 3 for 44. Kind of thought he would have a little bit better game with Josh Palmer out, but doesn't really go off. But both these guys are rostered. Gus Edwards, if you picked him up, he's doing absolutely nothing. So I don't mind moving off of him. Also, Dobbins played a lot more than him in this game. Finally, after kind of splitting, there's talks of Kamani Vidal. In deeper leagues, I don't mind him as a stash as well. That's kind of a crystal ball pickup. If Gus Edwards or Dobbins gets hurt, or possibly Gus Edwards continues to play like this, they may start giving Vidal a chance, and maybe he shows out. So that's somebody to keep an eye on for sure. I know a lot of people were excited about him coming out as a rookie, just 6th round, but again, Gus Edwards is not really getting it done right now. On the other side, Justin Fields, we should have been picking him up weeks ago. I was picking him up week 1, once he was announced as starter because, look what he's done in the past for our fantasy football teams, and things are starting to get going a little bit more for Fields now. 25 of 32, throws a touchdown, 245, also runs one in, just 6 yards rushing. But, um, you know, things are going to get better for him. Nice matchup against the Colts this week. Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants, Commanders. So Fields is going to have some big games. I don't really see him relinquishing this job. He's playing good football. He's making nice throws. That was he had a really nice throw to another. He's had, since he's been in the lineup, he's had multiple nice throws to George Pickens. A lot of them have been called back because of penalty too. There was a touchdown call back. There was another dime throw he threw on the run that was called back. There's been offensive PIs by Pickens that were called back. So him and Pickens have shown a nice connection. Pickens has kind of went through cornerback hell as well. And he's kind of like, even when he went against Surtain, he was drawing a ton of defensive pass interferences. So Pickens' eruption is going to come very soon. It might come this week, and Fields is going to be the beneficiary of that as well. I think Fields is going to have some big games. Najee gets it going a little bit here, 18 of 70. Jaylen Warren is banged up. Najee was in a sling, but he's going to be fine. Jaylen Warren's banged up. So it looks like Cordell Patterson. Are we picking up Cordell Patterson? If you need running back help, sure. I mean, Cordell Patterson actually had the highest yards per carry. This guy could still ball out 8.3. Again, he's not a guy that has any mileage as a running back. Came in as a receiver out of Tennessee, receiver returner, and didn't shift to running back until, Artie Smith put him there a couple years ago with Atlanta, and he shined. He finished as like a top 20 running back. I think 2 out of the 3 years he was in Atlanta. So, or top 25. So, Cordell Patterson, man, I don't mind it against the Colts this week. If you need running back help, you could do a lot worse. He's a talented player. Will get involved a little bit in the pass game. Caught 3 balls in this game as well. He could do everything Jaylen Warren does. So, Cordell Patterson's still balling out. 31 years old. Still a very, very elite athlete out there on the football field. So need help. I don't mind adding Cordell Patterson. I may look to add him in some leagues. I went through my Yahoo leagues, which clear obviously tomorrow morning. Sleeper. I'm not really adding him there, but in the NFC leagues and the FFPCs where you get the 10 bench spots, and my CBS leagues where you get more bench spots, that's a situation where I may look to add him depending on what I have in my roster. If I have waste on my roster, if I still have Audric Estime still in the IR and I need another running back, or if I need somebody to use, I'll go after Cordell Patterson. But it probably is only going to be maybe a 1 or 2 week thing, unless Warren is out for an extended time, but we don't really know yet. Pat Freiermuth, 4 for 33, not terrible. I don't mind using him at tight end if I have to. Calvin Austin, 4 for 95 and a touchdown. Now, we're kind of looking for this second guy to step up as the receiver in this offense, and it has not been freaking Van Jefferson. I mean, the guy's been disappeared off the face of the earth. And that's why I was kind of saying Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson was barely in camp. He hasn't played the first 3 weeks. He's been practicing the last 2 weeks, and it seems like he's very, very close to playing, but then keeps getting ruled out. So that's a guy that I still am excited about. I like Roman Wilson a lot. I think he could take this number 2 job. So in deeper leagues, I like adding him if I can. Now, Calvin Austin, one big play here, 55 yards. I like Roman Wilson more. I would bank on him being the number 2. And Roman Wilson kind of gives me like Hines Ward vibes, just a ton of energy. He's a good route runner. He's a small dude. I think he's only like 5'9", maybe 5'10". I think more like 5'9", but he's got good speed. He's an aggressive, feisty player. And I think, as far as a 2, that's the guy that could be this in this offense. And I really think Roman Wilson is going to be doing things as we get further down the line. So that's a guy, if I'm in a deeper league, I want to add. If not, it's a guy I definitely want to keep my freaking eye on. And, if he comes in this week and goes like 3 for 45 or something like that, go look and see how he looks. We'll talk about that too next week. But that's a guy I would really want to keep my eye on. I'm excited about him. So that's pretty much it. Steelers are flying high right now. Russ, has the calf. Could he play? Probably. But Fields is getting it done. He's not really turning the ball over. Had an interception in this game. His first of the year was on a tip pass. But, Fields, he was left for dead. Again, I've talked about this several times. You listen to my show. I'm a big Fields guy. I've always liked Fields. He was left for dead in Chicago. He went through hell with them. I've watched so many of his games, you know, practically almost all of them, I would say. Their offensive line was one of the worst. Their defense was one of the worst. There was that 2 years ago when he was putting up like 28, 30 points a week after week after week, and their defense was letting up like 40, 35, 40. They just kept losing. He does take a knock. Like in the fourth quarter, he gets a little like wonky, like he doesn't always deliver. But the talent around him was terrible too. I'm talking about like N'Keal Harry, Quantum St. Brown, Dante Pettis. Finally they bring DJ Moore over. DJ Moore was going to go for 1,500 yards if Fields stayed healthy last year. Fields missed a month after getting knocked out by Daniel Hunter. Then Tyson Badgett came in, and Moore was kind of limited to like 40, 50-yard games. But Moore's not going to do that with Caleb, especially not with Keenan Allen and Rome around. The Bears, could have kept Fields, and maybe they could have had Joe Alt and maybe another receiver as well. But they decided to go the other route, start over with Caleb. Caleb's way behind Fields right now, in my opinion. Fields is ahead of him, obviously. I think Caleb will obviously get better, but I think Caleb has some limitations. But he's shown toughness. He's broke out from when he broke out from Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson both in that game. He threw picks on both those. That was impressive, but he does get sacked a lot. He doesn't really, he's not going to be as elusive as he was in college. And Fields, this guy ran for 1,000 yards. He showed his elusiveness is definitely superior to Caleb Williams, much more better of a runner. And Fields is getting better as a passer. Like every single game he's out there and every single year. So, it is possible the Bears might have made a drastic mistake, but certainly there's time for Caleb to turn it around, get better. He's gotten better every single week. The offensive line needs to protect him a little bit better. Shane Waldron looks like a hot mess, but we'll get into that game when we talk about the Bears. Let's keep it moving. We'll get through one more game, and then we'll see what we got in the chat. And we'll break those down, guys. Thanks for joining me tonight. We'll go Texans, Vikings, 34-7. Vikings defense. Brian Flores is absolutely dominating with his defense. This guy, Van Ginkel, is all over the place. I picked him up in IDP. This guy is a beast. They got so many good players on defense, just collectively as a unit. Harrison Smith, Bynum, this guy Metellus is good. They bring over Stephon Gilmore, Kruger Hill. This guy Pat Jones had some big games. So, their defense looks fast and furious. As far as defense of pickups, that's a defense I want to pick up. They could seemingly be an every week starter right now, the Vikings, and they're probably out there on a lot of wires. So that's a defense I'm excited to go grab. They're 3-0 right now, and their defense is absolutely dominating. And Sam Darnold looks terrific. And I'm a Jets fan. I did not want the Jets to take Sam Darnold. I want them to take Josh Allen. And I was very, very pissed about that. Still pissed about that because Josh Allen looks like the best quarterback in the league this year so far. But Sam Darnold gets into a better system. You get away from the Jets, get away from the shit show that was Adam Gase. Same thing with Geno Smith. He gets away. He looks better. And Kevin O'Connell is just a terrific coach. It's between him right now for coach of the year. And why is the other coach eluding me right now? Greg McDermott's up there as well. You could say Harbaugh maybe. Matt LaFleur with Green Bay as well. He's definitely in the mix. But O'Connell, man, he's really a good coach. Really, really good. Look what he did with Mullins last year, throwing for 400 in those games. But Sam Darnold is, he's still missing some throws. He's still showing a little bit of that erraticness, but he's making a lot of really good throws. 4 touchdowns in this game, just 181 yards, 17 of 28, throwing a lot of nice balls, man. Justin Jefferson continues to dominate, 6 for 81 and a touchdown. Aaron Jones, he's a guy that you could get. We're getting in your 6th round, 7th round. Maybe in home leagues he's going a little bit higher because a little bit more running back heavy. But I was, doing those high stake leagues, getting him in the 6th round. People were so giddy about, taking Michael Pittman in the 3rd round and all these receivers in the 2nd, 3rd round, 4th round. I got to get 97,000 receivers before I draft my running back. And then you get Aaron Jones in the 6th, 7th round. I mean, just absolutely terrific. Terrific. So 19 for 102 for Jones, 5 for 46, catches the touchdown. He's looking spriery out there. Just an underrated player, getting the job done. Ty Chandler doesn't do much, 7 for 13 in this game. And Ty Chandler still has looked good to me. Just a bad game here, but with Jones there, it's going to be tough to use him, obviously. Jalen Naylor, 3 for 31, another touchdown. Now, this guy is up to 3 touchdowns on the year. He's scored a touchdown in every single game. Not a ton of yards. We also have Jordan Addison coming back. But if you need a receiver for the short term, I like Jalen Naylor. I mean, this guy seems like he's going to get something done every single week. I mean, why not 3 touchdowns in a row? Why not another week with another touchdown for Jalen Naylor? So definitely an ad there. He's a pretty talented kid out of Michigan State. So could he be a long-term thing? Sure. I mean, I think he could be a long-term thing as well. Even when Addison comes back with this way this offense is looking, it is quite possible. But yeah, Sam Darnold looks great. If he's out there on your waiver wire, you need a quarterback. Yeah, I don't mind pressing on Sam Darnold. I would have never said that before the season started. He really, really has just really impressed me with the way he's looked in this offense, getting time to throw. His confidence is all the way back. He looks terrific. On the other side, CJ Stroud, 20 of 31, 215, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Again, tough matchups for CJ Stroud in back-to-back weeks. Bears, now Vikings. So hasn't been, a huge start for CJ Stroud, just 4 touchdowns through 3 games, 2 picks, but he'll get it going. I still see a world where Stroud could throw 30 to 35 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, and be a very, very nice fantasy quarterback. It's kind of could be like the Kirk Cousins level, something like that, because he doesn't run a lot. Like he just doesn't. Will CJ Stroud throw 40 touchdowns this year? Probably not after this slow start. I definitely obviously prefer the running quarterbacks, but he'll still be very nice. The schedule does ease up a little bit here for the Texans. Let me see. I'm just trying to see who the heck they are playing in the upcoming weeks here. Oh, man. Why can't I pull this up? This is retarded. Anyway, his schedule is going to get easier. Again, back-to-back games against the Bears and the Vikings. Diggs, 10 for 94. He's the leading receiver on the day, 12 targets. And he's going to have some games like that. He's like kind of working the slot, running the shorter routes. Tank Dell, 5 for 62. Nico, 4 for 86. So all things considered, in a tough matchup against a tough defense. And they were playing from behind most of the day. So they were throwing, a little bit. Actually, he only threw it 31 times, which is not really a lot. But it's it's basically those 3 guys. Dalton Schultz is not doing anything. Tank Dell's gonna have some big games. Just be patient. Nico's still the alpha. Diggs is gonna have some nice games, but he'll have some slow games. He'll probably be trading off with Dell. But yeah, all things considered, it was a pretty decent day for these receivers. It wasn't a great day for Stroud. But again, easier matchups ahead for these guys, and Stroud should have a nice fantasy season regardless. Cam Akers steps in for the injured Joe Mixon with the high ankle sprain that could linger for a couple more weeks, just 2.3 yards per carry. similar to what he did in the Rams, 9 for 21, but he saves the day by catching a touchdown. So if you started him, at least you got that. And that's really it. No real pickups here. One guy I would say maybe to keep an eye on for the long run is John Mechie Jr. Because, if there's an injury to Dell Collins or Diggs, maybe he steps in. But right now he's behind Xavier Hutchinson and Robert Woods. So I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, I don't know why they're not using Mechie at all yet. So it's just, that's like just something to keep in the back of your head, because I feel like he's better than these other two guys, especially Robert Woods at this point. I mean, come on. But we'll see about Mixon. Hold on to Akers for now. He'll get another start here, possibly this week. Mixon with the high ankle, that could linger all season long. He was looking excellent too. But so we'll see how long they keep him on the shelf to get that ankle healthy. But the Vikings go to 3-0. The Texans now are 2-1. All right, guys, let's take a look at the chat. We got some guys in here. We got At a Rhythm saying, Steve, hey, buddy, how's it going? Are you dropping Swift 16-team deep league? He also says, love the vintage Nets hat, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I actually went to Nets playoff game back in 2003. That was that J-Kid team, Kerry Kittles, Keith Van Horn, Lucius Harris, Kenyon Martin. Such a freaking great team. And I watched them play against the Charlotte Hornets in, I think it was the second round or maybe the first round. It was game 1 or game 2 against Baron Davis. They absolutely rolled them. I believe the Nets went to the finals that year. I think they lost to the Lakers, but that was such a fun team to watch. But as far as DeAndre Swift, man, yeah, it's ugly right now. It is really ugly. He doesn't really look good. They're not blocking at all. They're selling out to stop the run. They're playing. A lot of teams are supposedly playing too deep against the Bears as well. So I don't know. He's not getting it done. It's looked ugly. We're seeing Khalil Herbert steal goal line carries for him. Now Roschon Johnson is back. So at this point, I think I might prefer Roschon Johnson than DeAndre Swift. So depending on what's out there, yeah, I mean, I'm in a 16-team league too. There's probably some better guys to pick up. Like, if I want to use a back this week, I'd probably rather start Cordero Patterson than DeAndre Swift. Aiden says, hey there, how's it going? I don't really appreciate that question, man. Aiden says, think I can get help with a trade question? Yeah, man. Let me know what it is. Rhythm says Calvin Austin is the better deep bat. It's possible. I like Roman Wilson. Calvin Austin's been in the league a few years. Hasn't really done too much. Again, the quarterback play hasn't been great. I understand that. But, and he definitely made a huge play last week. I mean, that was a great throw by Fields, and Austin has the burners. But for the long run, maybe in the short term, it's Calvin Austin. I think the long run for me, it's Roman Wilson. Aiden says, I have Gibbs, Barkley, Mason, Kyron, and Ramondre. My only receivers are Pickens, Ayuk, and Devonta Smith. Should I trade Gibbs and Mason? Man, you got some good running backs there for sure. Should I trade Gibbs and Mason for Garrett Wilson, David Montgomery, and Raheem Mostert? We just went over Garrett Wilson's schedule in like the next 5 games. And certainly he could outperform that schedule. It is rough though, man. That's a stretch, and not just for him, for the Jets in general. But back to the trade, Gibbs and Mason. Since you have that depth, you'd still have Barkley, Kyron, and Ramondre, and you bring back Montgomery. Gibbs and Mason for Garrett Wilson, Montgomery, and Mostert. Yeah, you know what? I probably would do it, considering your running back depth, considering we expect CMC to come back? I mean, I don't know. Do we? I mean, he's going to Germany to get some alternative treatments out there that they don't offer, I guess, in America. And you're getting Mostert. He's been hurt. but maybe we get Tua back. You're getting Montgomery, who's still very, very solid. He's been basically just as good as Gibbs, so far. Just going off the top. I mean, it's close enough anyway. So you're basically trading Garrett Wilson for Gibbs, which is fine. I mean, Garrett Wilson was a higher pick this year in draft in the first round. And then you're swapping Montgomery for Mason, and you're going to get Mostert. So, yeah, I would do it. And then you have the running back depth, to help out your receivers. I mean, your receivers are solid too, Pickens, Ayuk, and Smith. But you're going to get Garrett Wilson. So, yeah, considering your depth, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he'll kind of elevate a little bit more over Montgomery as the season goes on. But Montgomery supposedly came in great shape this camp. And Dan Campbell, my bad, absolutely loves him. He has a love affair with him. Thanks for the question. Adorhythm says, do you do a full IDP or 4-man defense? Yeah, just 4-man, D tackle, DB, linebacker, and a flex. So, I don't go too crazy in the drafts, like trying to reach for guys but they, like you get an Aiden Hutchinson or a TJ Watt, like they can win you games big time. So it is kind of smart sometimes to go for those guys a little bit earlier. But I find that I find a lot of good guys on the wire, especially with just 4 guys. DB Lake from the Rams, might it be an option for you? Appreciate that. We kind of lessened tackles a little bit, and then he put a little bit more emphasis on like sacks and the other stats. So it's I guess the scoring is a little bit different compared to traditional IDP, but I'll definitely take a look at that guy. Adorhythm says Patterson and Johnson are available. And Russ Maniac says, should I drop Geno for Rodgers or Fields? Fantasy wise, I think you got to go Fields. Now, I guess there's a chance he could lose his job to Russ, but I would go for Fields, just more upside with the rushing, and the rushing is going to come for Fields. Rodgers is going to be solid too, but I'd rather have Fields. And Russ Maniac says, I got Goff starting and Love on the bench. So, yeah. So you're good, man. I would go for Fields with the upside. And then you still got Goff, and Love's going to come back. If not this week, next week, Malik Willis has looked pretty damn good. Surprisingly. I mean, another guy that goes from a shit team to a better situation. And, he's definitely working his ass off. You could just tell Malik Willis is working his ass off. I liked him a lot coming out of Liberty. Actually picked him in Dynasty, and then I dropped him coming into this year. And then I actually picked him up before last week's game, so I got him back on the team. I'm kind of happy about that. But, yeah, he looked good. But I appreciate the question, guys. Keep them coming as I go through these games. I'll get back to the questions. Anything you got, just drop it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like, subscribe, and follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy if you haven't already. All right, next game, guys. We'll keep going through these games and talking about the best waiver wires, pickups, and FAAB. Eagles beat the Saints 15-12. Eagles move to 2-1. Saints now 2-1. Derek Carr and the offense come back down to earth. Now Rashid Shaheed, I used him in a couple lineup. Like I've always been drafting Rashid Shaheed for like the past 2 years. It started because I play in a kick return, where you get points for kick return, and Shaheed was returning kicks. A couple of years ago, I'm like, oh, this guy, started to come alive a little bit as a receiver, but also you get the kick return option. Then start watching this guy. I'm like, this guy's freaking damn good. And now in this offense with Clint Kubiak, it seems like everything's going to click. They took some deep shots in this game, just didn't work out. But a donut is just tough to take after those 2 big weeks that he had. Low-scoring games. This was supposed to be a high-scoring game. Ended up being a low-scoring game. But be patient with Shaheed, obviously. Saints offense should be better as a whole than it was last year, but it's Derek Carr. I mean, he does this. He has games where he has 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, but for the majority of his career, it's mostly 1-2 touchdown games. He's only thrown for 30 touchdowns once in his career. 14 of 25, $142, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. They were generating more pressure on him as well. I think they just lost one of their big offensive linemen, which is a hit to their offensive line, obviously, and the running game and the protection. Olave gets back on the map, though, 6 for 86 and a touchdown. Would still think he would be the guy, but I still think Shaheed's going to eat into his overall value, and they could swap weeks. But if I had to pick one guy, I'd still pick Olave. And then Kamara, slower day, 26 carries, 87 yards, but just 3.3 yards per carry, but catches 3 more passes for 40 yards. So still comes away with a nice fantasy day. No other pickups here. Taysom Hill, I would keep him stashed if obviously you can use him as tight end. If it's a quarterback, whatever, in like a super flex, you could probably drop him. But no other real pickups. I don't see any real future. Actually, I'm sorry. Kendry Miller. That's a guy that if you could pick, if he's out there and you could put him on your IR, do that because, if he ever gets an opportunity, I know Dennis Allen hates him and Kendry Miller can't stay freaking healthy. I mean, ever since he's come to the league, he just cannot stay on the field. So, but still, if he ever gets a starting opportunity, Kamara gets hurt, obviously got Jamal Williams in the way, but they'll give Kendry Miller a ton of burn. So it's a great situation. If you could keep him on your IR, he doesn't cost you a roster spot. I love doing that all day long. So that's just kind of a future look ahead pick up there, and you could do that this week. Put him on your IR if you can. Talented kid, just struggled with injuries since he's been in the league. Saquon goes off once again, 17 for $147. 8.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 65-yard touchdown run. Saquon finally. The Red Sea has opened up. Poor Saquon. He is out of freaking the hellhole that was the New York Giants and those offensive lines that were just could not block, and the quarterback play and the receivers constantly getting hurt. Him with all his injuries. So he's in a great situation. Certainly could be the RB1. Very, very happy that I did a late draft, and I did it after the week 1 game, that Friday night game, and I was able to get him 10th overall. And it's been a great spot, start. I did a couple drafts after that. He was going like 2 overall. This was after the fact, after he played that first game, obviously. Jalen Hurts, 29 of 38, 311 yards, no touchdown, throws another pick. And 8 for 25 on the ground, not a ton there. So Hurts is turning the ball over a lot. And he also lost another fumble. I don't know if that was a botched snap or what really happened there. I forget what happened. But he's turned the ball over a lot. And this is kind of, was happening last year at the end of the season. But Philly hangs on here, gets a big win. Sirianni survives here. Dallas Goedert, this guy has struggled with injuries. I've always liked Dallas Goedert, but he's talented. 10 for 170. And if A.J. Brown's going to be out, he should have big games. It makes no sense that he shouldn't. 11 targets. He should be get heavily targeted. Obviously, when A.J. comes back, it won't be as great, but he should still have some big games and be a nice tight end for you. He's always been talented. The problem with Goddard is every time he's on his way to a nice season, he gets hurt. I mean, I don't think he's played a full 17-game season in his career. No. His rookie year, he played 16 games. But again, remember that the first couple of years, he was stuck behind Zach Ertz. By the time, I think it was like his 4th year, 2021, he went for 830 and 4 touchdowns, but still only played 15 games. 2022 played 12. He had 700 yards that year. Imagine he played 17 games. He might have finished with 1,000 yards. And then 2023, again, 14 games. So this guy plays a full season. He's going to be excellent for your teams. He was a later round pick, past all those other guys. He was a guy you could wait on and get good value. So, always been a good player in a good offense, and they want to get him the ball. And remember, in this offense, they definitely want to get him the ball. I mean, 100%. Kellen Moore, that is. I don't know why that was escaping my mine. But yeah, Killamore likes to target the tight end. So no real pickups here. Britton Covey. I don't see anything here. Maybe if you're a Barkley owner, you want to stash like a Gainwell or a Will Shipley. I don't know. Nothing really flying here as far as pickups, but good win for Philly. All right, next game, interesting game to talk about here. And we're going to get into that rhythm. We're going to get into this Bucks game and talk about Bucky Irving. First, we'll talk about Bo Nix, 25 of 36, 216 yards, no touchdowns through the air. He ran one in, also ran for 47 yards. First two games were rough for Bo Nix. Was throwing a lot of bad picks, had 4 picks. I think he was anything past 10 yards. He was like 4 for 21, very inaccurate. Much better in this game. Played smart. A lot of rollouts, a lot of play action. The Bucks, their defense was coming in banged up, but they played good the week before. But it just seemed like Todd Bowles really had no answers. Like he didn't know what the hell was going. Like Knicks was just running all over the place. He was getting, getting out of the pocket very easy. Read options were working. Cortland Sutton, nice to see him have a nice day, 7 for 68. And Knicks was throwing down the field better this week. So it was his best game of the year by far, and it was a good sign. We'll see if you can keep the consistency with those deeper throws. And the first 2 matchups were certainly tough for the Broncos going against the Seahawks with those big physical corners. And then obviously the Steelers is a tough defense. TJ Watt, Joey Porter. I thought this would be a tough matchup for them as well. But Knicks comes through. Broncos get as a 7-point dog on the road. Survivor Tampa pick was horrible. Every time I take Baker in my survivor pools, he lets me down. Let me down last year against the Saints when they're trying to clinch the division, also at home. Played terrible, laid an egg. But it was good to see Sutton get on the board. 11 targets, 7 for 68. Little Jordan Humphreys, like their second best receiver. I guess with Josh Reynolds, 6 for 37. But I'm not really thinking about Little Jordan Humphrey as a pickup. He's kind of like another Cordero Patterson. I think he came out of Tennessee as well. Kind of like a more of a running type receiver. If like they put him in the backfield, I think it would be better. But you throw it to him underneath, he can kind of create after the catch a little bit. But not a guy I want to go after. Troy Franklin was actually getting a little bit more playing time. We saw Marvin Mims have a catch. So it's good that they mix those guys in. I mean, you got these speedy guys that can stretch the defense. Be good to, then it opens up the underneath stuff as well. Terrible game for Javonte, 5 for 12. And he fumbled in this game as well. It's been a disaster for Javonte Williams. It came out as a rookie, looked pretty good. And then he had that terrible knee injury and just really hasn't looked the same since. Just doesn't look explosive. He breaks some tackles, but that's kind of was his thing coming out of college, but he just doesn't go anywhere. Like he doesn't, there's not a lot of explosion. It's very plotting. So it's not looking good. Jaleel McLaughlin has been just as bad. Although that touchdown run was nice. The Bucks had him in the backfield and he kind of got out to the outside, got into the end zone, but just 5 for 7. I mean, that's brutal. 1 touchdown. The guy who stole the show was Tyler Bidet. Clean your ass with the bidet, 9 for 70. This guy's kind of been like a preseason superstar. I think the Ravens drafted him a couple years ago. Then they cut him. But he could earn more playing time. The guy I would say to keep an eye on, though, is Audric Estime. When he comes back, I mean, he could take this job. So, he's been out for 2 weeks now with that ankle injury. He's got 2 more weeks on the IR. Could be back by week 6. So that's a guy that I'm stashing too if I could put him on the IR. I mean, he could come back and take this job. And Tyler Bidet, I don't mind picking him up. Maybe if he could play over Jaleel McLaughlin. I mean, he could be a better player than Jaleel McLaughlin. Jaleel McLaughlin doesn't really look all that great. And Javonte does not look good. Again, they're not blocking great for these guys either, but I mean, you're not performing, and then Bidet comes out 9 for 70. Maybe he's earned some more playing time. Javonte 4 for 29 through the air. But the other side, we got the Bucks. Baker Mayfield, 25 of 33, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Again, slow day for him, but Godwin gets in the end zone, 6 for 53. Mike Evans gets the Pat Surtain Jr. treatment, just 2 for 17. Todd Bowles says he wants to get Mike Evans the ball more. Wouldn't worry about Mike Evans. The guy's a Hall of Fame player. He's going to get going, a couple back-to-back rough weeks, but Godwin seems like he's getting it done every single week. Interesting here is Kate Otten finally gets into the mix, 7 for 47, a guy that was kind of taken later in drafts, tight end premium, if I needed a second tight end, because I like the way he finished up last year, and they finally get him going here a little bit. 7 for 47, 8 targets. So somebody to keep an eye on, possibly use him in the future. The tight end position is been pretty poor. So I don't mind taking a chance on Otten. Again, he's proven he's done in the past and in the playoffs last year. So why the hell not? But the big story here, and out of Rhythm Fantasy alluded to a little bit, we'll get back into the chat after this game. But Bucky Irving, 9 for 70 on the ground, 7.8 yards per carry versus Rachaad White's putrid 6 for 17, 2.8. And this has been Rachaad White's problem. He just does not get it done on the ground. Gets it done in the passing game. But I mean, if you throw to the guy freaking 6, 7, 8 times a game, yeah, he's going to look pretty good in the passing game. So, and yeah, he's kind of fluid a little bit. And Rachaad White, I wouldn't say he's a bad player. He's decent. But that was kind of the worry last year, when you were taking him. But he was a much better value last year. Like 6th, 7th, 8th round, whatever it was. But nobody behind him was taking his job. Sean Tucker, Chase Edmonds. So now he's got Bucky Irving, who looks good, man. This guy has quick ass feet, jukes guys out. He's a good running back. Catches 3 balls for 14. So I think he could do everything Rachaad White can do and more. So this could be a leapfrog at some point. Right now, I think it's more maybe Rachaad comes out and maintains a 60-40 next week. But it could be 50-50 in a couple weeks, and maybe it's a full Bucky Irving. So I'm kind of trying to sell Rachaad White if I can as soon as possible. Because maybe coming this week, Bucky Irving steals the show a little bit more as Bucky gets a little bit more accustomed to the NFL game. So we'll see what happens. Bucky Irving is looking good. It's kind of looking a little bit better every week. So, Bucky Irving, definitely a guy that you got to go after if he's available in your leagues. He should have been picked up, but if he's available, this guy seems like he's going to have flex value kind of the rest of the way. And possibly, maybe in a month or so, turn into an RB2. That is quite possible. Jalen McMillan. I mean, I had high hopes for him. 1 for 6. He's not doing anything. So I think you could drop him at this point. I don't think he's going to be a factor. It's just going to be the run game and Godwin, a whole lot of Godwin and Evans, then maybe a little bit more Kate Otten. And on the Broncos side, we mentioned Aldrick Estime, kind of stashing him. All right, let's get back into the chat. And Russ Maniac says, how do you feel about the Mixon injury? That's a high ankle sprain. That's kind of a disaster for a running back or a receiver. That's something they really need to rest and take care of. So, I don't know if he's going to play this week. He could be out another 2 weeks. Doesn't look like he's in the IR. But even when he comes back, that's something that could slow him down. Look at Austin Eckler. He had that injury last year, and he did not look the same, and he looks so much better this year. So again, and Saquon Barkley's had those injuries in the past. And he didn't kind of look as explosive. And Mixon was looking great. And I still think Mixon will be nice, even with the high ankle sprain, but not as good as he obviously without it. And he might have some more frustrating games than now that he has that injury. But obviously you hold Mixon. He's still in a great offense. He looked great in that zone run blocking scheme, which he ran in Oklahoma in week 1. But it just sucks because this is really going to slow him down, I think, for the rest of the year. Russ Maniac says I traded Mahomes for Mixon in a league because I have Hurts and need RB help. Yeah, don't mind that. You got the 2 running backs. If you're just starting one, why not? Adam Rhythm says, when it's super late, why not listen? Appreciate it, man. Russ Manic says Rashad White or J.K. Dobbins. Definitely J.K. Dobbins over Rashad White. Bucky might be an option for you, referring to Russ Maniac. Yeah, Bucky, if you can get him as well. We just talked about him. I was shocked to see the Bucks lose this game. It was an easy W. Yeah, man. I mean, it really was a shocker to me as well. But Bo Nix, props to him. Denver defense is legit. Bo Nix played smart, didn't turn the ball over, and Peyton had a good game plan. And Todd Bowles, we all know he's susceptible to being a little bit of a donkey, ex-Jets coach. So it's understandable, but certainly they should have got the job done here. Ad Rhythm says, what's with all these mind games with the Broncos running backs? Watson must be injured that we haven't seen him. Yeah. Yeah, I know. He was wasn't he an undrafted free agent as well? So I really think that, Bidet obviously is over him. And Bidet showed out a little bit last year too. So Audric Estime, the way Javante and Jaleel look, that's the guy I'm kind of keeping an eye on. And I don't mind picking up Bidet either. Algorithm says Bucky was the second best duo to come out of this draft. I guess he means running, catching the ball. A&J Film says trade Debo for Ayuk and Goddard. Yeah, if you need a tight end, definitely. Debo's still hurt. Ayuk hasn't looked great, but again, he missed all of camp. He went for 1,400 yards receiving last year. He's going to turn it around. Juwan Jennings went nuts. I like Juwan Jennings. Always kind of liked him. Stepped up last year in the playoffs, but nobody expected that performance from Juwan Jennings. So Ayuk will come around. And if you need a tight end, yeah, I think that's I would do that all day. Appreciate it, guys. Any more questions? Well, again, we'll keep going through these games. We'll get back into the comments and questions. Keep dropping them. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. Don't forget to like and subscribe and then share the show as well. All right, Packers, Titans. Packers 2-1. Titans 0-3 now. Willie Levi's. I call him Willie Fubu's. Just turning the ball over relentlessly every single week. And he, whoever he plays, that's the defense you want to stream pretty much. And I streamed the Packers this week in a couple of different leagues, and they absolutely went off. They sacked them 8 times. They picked them off twice. He also fumbled. So 3 more turnovers. I don't know how much more Brian Callahan is going to be able to deal with Willie Fubu's turning the ball over left and right. He's going to have to turn it to Willie Levi's, put those Levi's jeans on quick before Mason Rudolph comes in and takes his freaking job. Was good to see DeAndre Hopkins look like DeAndre Hopkins, get that touchdown, 6 for 73. That certainly hurts Calvin Ridley. Ridley should still have some big games, but he's going to be inconsistent with Fubu's. Even though Fubu's likes to chuck it up, we saw that 2 weeks ago. But Hopkins could just alpha this now that he's getting healthier. Tajay Spears, good to see him get involved in the pass game. 454. Josh Weil is also playing ahead or just as much, I guess, as Okonkwo. I haven't looked at the snap shares, but that's killing Okonkwo. And Weil's not a bad player either. I actually kind of like Josh Weil a little bit. I got him on my dynasty team. Just remember watching him. He's decent. So decent game for him. That's maybe somebody to keep an eye on. He could just totally move ahead of Okonkwo, maybe. But I like Okonkwo too. But they just really haven't used the tight ends here in this offense the past few years. Tony Pollard, slow day. 6 for 14. Couldn't really run the ball. They were down most of the game. Again, Willie Fubu's turning it over left and right. Catches 3 balls for 15. There'll be better days there ahead for Pollard. But it was good to see Spears get a little bit more in the mix here. But I still think Pollard's way ahead overall. This was a weird game script. So wouldn't worry about Pollard too much. But yeah, if somebody drops Spears, definitely at him. Pretty good player, not as good as Pollard, but this team should be able to run the ball a little bit, and maybe they utilize him in the pass game. Treylon Burks, like that guy at one point, but he's buried right now, and he's just not getting it done when called upon. Um, so that's pretty much it for the Titans. 0-3 for them. On the other side, Malik Willis, man. Again, I talked about Malik Willis a couple, about 10, 15 minutes ago. And just playing smart. And he looks quick, man. 73 yards on the ground, runs for a touchdown, throws a touchdown, 200 yards. Christian Watson, after a donut last week, I believe, gets 2 for 67. Jaden Reed, 4 for 50. Dobbs just 1 for 18, had 60 yards the week before. So we're waiting for Jordan Love to unlock this passing game and unlock these receivers, Dobbs, Watson, Reed, Wicks, even. Love had that bad injury in the opening game in Sao Paulo and that shitty ass field, guys slipping left and right all over the place. Love was getting cracked around. Seemed like he was feeling himself a little bit too much in that game. He's throwing off his back foot a little bit too much, a lot of inaccurate throws. So maybe it was good for him to sit down a little bit. But yeah, he's got to get back in here. A lot of us drafted Jordan Love. A lot of us drafted the receivers alongside Jordan Love and got those stacks. Certainly I did. So I'm waiting for Jordan Love, even though Malik Willis has looked good, especially running the ball. I mean, he's quick and he's being pretty smart with throwing the ball, not turning it over, being fairly accurate. But they got to get Jordan Love here and unleash his passing game, and possibly make a deep run into the playoffs. But it's a good sign that, Malik Willis, everybody was clowning him, came over from the Titans, gets a little bit of a revenge game here, gets it done against the Titans, looks good. And, Malik Willis has now won back-to-back games when everybody was kind of just leaving this guy for dead. So props to him. Manuel Wilson also looks good. 12 for 50 on the ground. Out produces Josh Jacobs, 14 carries for Jacobs. Probably we would see a little bit more of Jacobs if this was a closer game. And then that's another guy I want to stash and put on the IR is Marshawn Lloyd if he is out there. And Tucker Kraft, too, is a guy to keep eye on. He's outplaying Musgrave. He's a better player. He's a better blocker. He was a later round draft pick, but I always kind of like Tucker Kraft more, and they're certainly using more. And, it could get better for him, even though you got all these other guys to utilize. That's not a tight end. That's not a bad tight end to keep an eye on. Tucker Kraft could have some big games there for the Packers once Jordan Love returns. But Emmanuel Wilson, man, he looks pretty good. So, I think he's going to stay involved a little bit here. Jacobs, I don't know, man. Like, there's a world maybe where we see a little bit more of Wilson now, and Jacobs doesn't really get that workhorse role. I mean, the week before he had 32 carries. So maybe they wanted to lighten his load a little bit this week, and there's certainly – could go back to him for like 20, 25, something like that again. But I don't know. He might be a sell right now for me. Especially with Marshall Lloyd coming back at some point. He's struggled with his ankle injuries. But again, if you have an IR spot, I don't mind stashing him. Dontavian Wicks, too. He's probably out there in a lot of wires. If you need receiver help, once Love comes back, he's playing just as he's kind of like behind these guys, but he could eventually be the number 2, number 3 guy at some point, and he is talented. So if you need receiver help, that's a guy to pick up as well. All right, next game, Giants, Cleveland. Deshaun Watson facing another possible looming suspension. Another accuser comes out. And then the Browns don't have to pay his salary. I'm sure the Browns will try to make that happen somehow, some way. Was great to see Amari Cooper finally have a big day, 7 for 86. Deontay Banks, he was going up, catching balls over him, runs a nice little slant route for a touchdown. And Deshaun Watson's not playing terrible. I mean, he runs for 26 yards, throws for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, been playing better the last couple of weeks. Outplayed Trevor Lawrence the week before. Trevor Lawrence is a disaster right now. Jerome Ford, not a great day, 10 for 37, but catches 3 balls. Donta Foreman played a ton the week before, doesn't play at all this week. But Nick Chubb, we do expect him back at some point. Is it going to be week 4, week 5, week 6? I mean, week 5, week 6, or maybe later? We'll see. But Jerome Ford really hasn't looked that great. And the Browns' offensive line has been banged up. Conklin still didn't make it back. I believe the other guy, Willis, got hurt in this game. So the offensive line needs to get healthy. We'll see what happens with Watson if he's going to get suspended. And then you're going to get Jameis Winston in there. Oh, man, that might be ugly. Jameis Winston seems like he throws the ball 20 freaking yards over the guy's head, but he'll sling it around. But it was good to see Cooper get on track finally. Judy, slow day, 4 for 27. I guess I hold Judy for now, but I'm not overly excited about it. No other real pickups here. Not Tillman, not Elijah Moore. Njoku, make sure you hold on to him. Keep him on your IR. If somebody dropped him, I would go pick him up. Just so talented. Was having a pretty decent game in week 1. Had like 40 yards before he had that high ankle. Again, that's something that could affect him the rest of the year too. Daniel Jones, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, does not turn the ball over. Did fumble it, but recovered it. Devin Singletary lost the fumble in this game. Eric Gray got popped on a kickoff return. And then the next play, they threw to Cooper for a touchdown. But Malik Neighbors is the story in this game. 8 for 78, 2 touchdowns, showing his elite athleticism, elite footwork, elite body control on the sideline, in the end zone, 12 targets. You were taking Neighbors in the 2nd, 3rd round. He's certainly paying off that ADP, and he looks excellent. This guy's got just like crazy acceleration, and the way he keeps his body in bounds on some of these high catches is pretty incredible. And Jones is just going to continue to trust him. But the other guy is Wan'Dale Robinson, 7 for 61. He might be available in your league. Wan'Dale Robinson's always been a talented guy. Now 2 years removed from the ACL injury, coming out of Kentucky, 2nd round pick. Like picking him up as well. I think he's going to be a steady player all season long. And they utilize him a lot of like drag routes, and he breaks tackles. He's quick. He makes moves on corners, linebacker safeties, and creates yak. So, yeah, I think he's a solid flex the rest of the way. And then Devin Singletary, man, like a solid RB2 flex every single week. He's going to have some dud games, but he's going to keep giving you games like this, 16 for 65 and a touchdown and 4 for 43 through the air. Don't worry about Tyrone Tracy. And that's really it. The tight end, Slayton, Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson probably could have had a touchdown, actually, but Daniel Jones kind of overthrew him a little bit. He could have came down with it, but it definitely could have been a better throw by Danny Dimes or Danny Pennies, whatever you want to call him. But that's pretty much it. Hyatt is out of the mix. Forget about Slayton. There's only so much you can really get to this Giants offense, and that's really Singletary, Neighbors, and Wan'Dale Robinson, who I like as a pickup this week for sure, if he wasn't picked up already. Russ Maniac says, you think Nick Chubb comes back? Yeah, I do think he comes back. Now, same injury to the same knee that he had in college. So, that's tough to come back from, but I do think Nick Chubb will work his way back at some point. Possibly, I would say, if I had to guess, he'll be back by like week 8. It's possible earlier, possible later. And it is possible too, like the Browns could just be a complete dumpster fire. Like Watson gets suspended, they go to Jameis, they keep losing games left and right. But their defense is good. They'll hold them afloat. They got a good coaching staff there. So I think Chubb should be back by like week 8. Adam Rhythm says Mason will make an appearance this week. I mean, it is possible, man. I mean, I was saying that at the beginning of the season because Fubo's just reckless. Fubo's is like, he's got such elite arm talent, but he's just kind of, I don't know. He's not really that. He's just, I don't know, a little all over the place. He does make some nice throws, but he just makes the dumbest decisions And certainly can see Mason Rudolph. And look what he did, stepping up in Kenny Pickett's spot. He kind of got that Steelers offense a little bit more flowing and consistent last year. Titans need to tank and take a QB in this upcoming draft. And he says Burks is done. They need to trade him to get anything to get from him. Yeah, Burks just kind of like a raw receiver, big physical guy. He struggled with a lot of injuries. Maybe in a different situation he's better, but yeah, maybe they just need to trade him, see what they can get him. Dobbs has been sitting on my bench. Me too, man. Got a lot of Dobbs. Was such a great value there. The kind of like that Shakir area there in drafts. And it just, it's freaking Jordan Love's just been out hurting this entire offense. And he says Neighbors outscores and leads all rookies in targets. Yeah, certainly Malik Neighbors looks excellent. Rest of the way, I would rather have Malik Neighbors than Marvin Harrison Jr. All right, guys, appreciate the questions, comments. We'll keep working through these games. Next game, Chicago versus the Colts. Caleb goes for 363, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Most of that's in garbage time. They were down. He's trying to come back. But once he started connecting with Cole Kmet, things kind of opened up a little bit. Hit Odunze. That was a nice throw. A couple nice throws to Odunze. DJ Moore gets 8 for 78. Odunze 6 for 112 and a touchdown. Cole Kmet 10 for 97 and a touchdown. There was a lot of missed throws by Caleb. He took 4 more sacks, was unable to avoid pressure, missed a lot of throws. One pick was terrible. The other one wasn't as bad. He kind of threw it up to Odunze. Odunze could have kind of came down with it, but didn't. Then it got picked. But still, it wasn't a great performance. I would say maybe C-, but it was his best performance by the day, and he did finish the game pretty well. So that was a good sign. And the schedule gets very, very easy for the Bears upcoming here. Rams, Panthers, Jaguars, Commanders, Cardinals. But then it gets a little bit tough again. Patriots, Packers, Vikings, Lions, 49ers, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks. But certainly the next, 5 games here are pretty nice. So, but this was supposed to be a good matchup too. And he struggled a little bit. So we'll see what happens. But good sign for Odunze, good sign for Cole Kmet, good sign for DJ Moore. Keenan Allen will be back at some point. That will probably hurt Odunze a little bit, maybe Cole Kmet a little bit. I think DJ Moore will be fine regardless. But the pickup here is Roschon Johnson, 4 for 32 through the air. Also gets 8 carries for 30 yards. DeAndre Swift, 12 for 20, 1.5 yards per carry, catches 2 for 22. But he's been brutal every week. Khalil Herbert, 4 for 9 in the ground, was around the goal line again this week. But I think Roschon's the guy I want to go after. I liked Roschon a lot coming out of Texas. Didn't look great last year, though. The first, it's 2 years now, right? Was that Roschon last year? Got rocked. I think that was last year, right? He got rocked. I think he got ripped in the head and was out for like a month with like a concussion. Because Bijan was a rookie last year, right? Yeah. So it's getting late, guys. It's 2 a.m. on the East Coast, and I played freaking doubleheader softball game, and I wanted to get this show in, and we're gonna get through it. We'll get through it, but just forgive me if I seem a little off on some things. But Roschon, yeah, that's the guy I want to go after. I'm not going to go crazy, but he could take this kind of number 1 role from an underwhelming DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert. And the other side, Anthony Richardson, did not like this matchup at all for him against a very, very tough Bears defense, struggling the week before, against the Packers. And just 10 of 20, 167, 2 more picks, gets 24 yards on the ground, almost gets into the end zone, but doesn't. Taylor gets the 2 touchdowns, 23 for 110. Great game for JT. 1 catch for 25. Get a little bit more involved in the passing game. Why don't you? But it's going to be okay for Richardson. I'm not going to panic. He'll be good for fantasy. Another tough matchup this week, though, against the Steelers. But then he gets the Jags, Titans, Dolphins, Texans, Vikings, Bills, Jets gets tough again. But that was the thing like Richardson. If you were drafting him, you would want to take another quarterback because of the injury risk and certainly the uncertainty of him as a quarterback in this league. So, you know, I wouldn't want to use him this week. Not a great matchup here against the Steelers. Could still have a decent game. But it could be ugly again. So if you have other options, that's what I would do. And then JT, great sign for him. Alec Pierce, like him. I still like going after him. Pittman, I'd be trying to trade him. He's just been a disaster, especially before you take. I've taken him. Josh Downs is a good stash if he's still out there. You know, he should pick up production coming back from his ankle sprain and these tough matchups for the Colts. But the Colts get the win 21-16 here against the Bears. Bears should have won this game. They do not get the job done. Adonai Mitchell, man, he's a cut. I mean, he's playing behind Pierce. He's playing behind Downs. He's playing behind Pittman. So unless one of these guys gets hurt, you could just cut Adonai Mitchell at this point. Still somewhat like of a raw prospect. And then you got to deal with Richardson, who's just, not going to throw the ball all over the place. And they're going to rely on his running and Taylor's running. So don't mind cutting Adonai Mitchell. Back to the Bears, though. Cole Kmet, tight ends is a rough position. So that's a guy you got to go after if you need a tight end. 100%. All right, next game, guys. Carolina, Las Vegas. I'm going to turn this fan on. Oh, shit. I missed the switch. I got to put the switch back. All right, Carolina, Las Vegas. And Andy Dalton comes in, saves the day for the Carolina Panthers. He did this last year, and we liked this over on the NFL Pick Show on the Face Off Sports Network, which was 40. This absolutely just blew past the over. 36-22. Dalton throws for 3 touchdowns. He played in one game last year, similar production, threw for 361. I think 2 or 3 touchdowns. Adam Thielen went off in that game. But now Deontay's in town. Deontay's better than Thielen at this point. Obviously, Thielen is past his prime. Deontay's still in his prime, or getting there at least. And 8 for 122, a touchdown. Thielen catches a great ball for a touchdown. I mean, it was a great catch, but gets hurt on the play. Hurts his hammy. He's going to hit the IR. So Xavier Legette is the guy that catches my mind here. Like Legette coming out of South Carolina, very controversial prospect. Just the one good year, but the tape certainly shows out with Legette. Legette wants to get those deep balls. He's got speed. He could separate. It's tougher, obviously, in the NFL, but he could go up and get the ball too. And Dalton's going to give him some chances, man. So kind of excited. I'm kind of excited. I kind of sounded like Xavier Legette the way I said that real quick. And that guy's got the most thickest accent. It's crazy. But, love this kid, man. He's been through a lot. I think both his parents passed away. And I think he's a nice pickup. He's kind of forgotten about too. A lot of people aren't like crazy excited about him, but with Dalton just slinging the rock everywhere, the Panthers defense is not that great. They're going to have to throw the football. So I like it, man. I like it as a pickup. It may not work out, but it certainly could work out. Deontay's still the alpha here for sure. And if you took Deontay, you're feeling great. But Xavier Legette's the guy that I like here. Forget about Jonathan Mingo. Chuba Hubbard, great game. And we see this from Chuba. Going back to last year, he had some big games. He had some shitty games. He kind of does this a little bit. Yards per carry last year wasn't great for Chuba, just 3.8. But he's a quality back. He's not bad. He's got good size. He's 6'1", 210. So again, it's Miles Sanders. It was in the beginning, they were I don't think Canales realized that Miles Sanders is kind of dust, was trying to mix these two guys in. Now totally commits to Chuba, and Chuba gets the job done even through the air. 5 catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown. So Chuba has an excellent fantasy day. So if you took Chuba, it's looking pretty good right now. And then if you got Jonathan Brooks, wait. He had a clean ACL tear. He started the year in the IR. He could be back week 5, week 6. And with the way this offense is looking now with Dalton, things are looking up for the Panthers offense and their skilled players. So I think they'll use, and the Panthers are going to want to compete. They're going to throw Brooks in there. So in the beginning, it's probably going to be a split, probably more of Chuba than Brooks. But then as the weeks goes on, it will get closer and closer. And if Brooks starts performing and looking good on the field, he'll take the job. But for now, enjoy your Chuba Hubbard. This could last for another month, maybe 2 months here with this production. So he's looking like a pretty decent RB2 flex play for now. Now he's elevated above Miles Sanders. But Xavier Legette's the pickup on the Raiders side, 18 of 28, 214 for Minshew. Now, there were some rumblings that he may lose his job. O'Connell came in at the end, goes 9 of 12 and a touchdown in garbage time. But it sounds like they're going to go back to Minshew again this week. And I don't really think it matters too much one way or the other for the offense. O'Connell's very limited as well. I think Minshew's still the better player. O'Connell's going to have his struggles. And as far as, for the whole offense, I don't think it's really makes a big difference for whether it's Minshew or O'Connell. It might be a little bit better in my mind with Minshew. Trey Tucker, man, talented kid, 7 for 96 and a touchdown. I mean, he's a good player, man. Like he's good. So, I mean, does he take a step over Jacoby Myers? And I don't know. It's weird. Like he's probably just going to be inconsistent because you do have Myers there and you do have Adams and Bowers. And Adams and Bowers are the guys to suffer this week. But man, like I like Trey Tucker as a player, man. Like he's legitimately good. So, it's tough to add him and use him because, it's going to be hard. But like dynasty or like a really deep roster, yeah, I like going after Trey Tucker. Zamir White, another disastrous day, 10 for 34. And then Madison steals his touchdown, just 3 for 7 for Madison. Madison catches 3 balls for 37. So he's not even catching balls, Zamir White. And, I think people just got a little too excited about Zamir White and the way he finished last year. And, out of that 4 or 5 game small sample, and he was just, people, the zero RB crew was taking Zamir White, banking on him. And you had to think Madison would have been a little bit of a threat. Madison was going like the end of the drafts, but you didn't expect it to be this bad. So I don't know. I mean, you can't really use Madison, and I don't think you could use Zamir White until things change right now. So you got to have better options. I guess I would hold because, obviously you want a starting running back, but this could just be a timeshare all year. Both guys could be very, very frustrating. I don't know if you could even trade him at this point. Jacoby Myers, man, I like him as a player, but again, he's going to be inconsistent. The only guys I think are going to be consistent in this offense are Brock Bowers and Devontae Adams. And that's really it. No pickups here. Forget about Michael Mayer. There's really nothing else of note. But Trey Tucker is the guy here in deeper leagues and obviously dynasty. If you want to deal for him, maybe the Raiders find a quarterback next year or something like that. But I do like Trey Tucker's talent. All right, next game. As we keep it moving here, Miami, Seattle. We all knew that Skylar Thompson sucked. And, I kind of wanted them to go to Tyler Huntley, but he just got signed off the practice squad. Couldn't really do it. So they had to deal with Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle, which is absolutely disastrous. The Seahawks come out, get the job done. The entire Miami offense suffers here. A-Chain doesn't do shit. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I got a little bit scared with the way A-Chain looked in this game. Kind of looked like Sony Michel, very slow. Like, he didn't seem like he had the burst. 3 for 28 in the pass game, though. And again, he was coming back from that ankle injury. He played in that Thursday night game. He was playing well late into that game. So, the offensive line has not looked good. The quarterback situation is bad, but I do think Tyler Huntley will come in and play well. Again, this guy, remember, he almost beat the Bengals in playoffs a couple years ago. He's had some good games. He could throw the ball. He could run the ball. He'll help Tyreek. He'll help Waddle. I think he'll help Achane as well. Um, I had somebody ask me, would they trade Achane for James Cook last week? And I was kind of saying, I don't know if you need to really make that deal. But I said, if you feel uncomfortable about HA with the Tua injury, obviously, I don't mind it. I definitely don't mind the deal. And right now, I think I would rather have James Cook, with the uncertainty of Tua and this quarterback situation and their offensive line. I mean, look at the Bills' offense compared to the Dolphins right now. And James Cook is flying high. And I know Achane's talented. Obviously, he's explosive still, and he's going to get a ton of work. But most is going to come back eventually. Cook's gonna have such a big role, man. They want to run the football, and he's way ahead of Ray Davis right now. So, I kind of think maybe I would rather have James Cook. All right, back to the let me just finish up this game, then I'll get back to your guys' comments. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, man. This is cool. Keep it coming. Stay as long as you can. We're going to get through all these games. We'll talk about some more pickups. But Tyreek 3 for 40, Waddle 4 for 26. It's going to be more ugly for Waddle than Tyreek. But it's going to be ugly. But Tyler Huntley will help, and it sounds like he's going to start this week. So you just got to be patient. But if you want to move off of Achane, you want to move off of Hill and Waddle and try to trade those guys, go ahead. Geno, 26 of 34, 289, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, hits Metcalf for that big bomb early, 4 for 104. Metcalf is a beast. Derrick Henry's eating freaking bananas and avocados at 5 o'clock and before, until 5, whatever he is, doesn't eat till 5 o'clock and eating bananas and avocados before the game and not eating any fried foods, taking crazy care of his health, $250,000 budget. And that's what you got to do. And that's why Derrick Henry is still an elite player. He takes absolute perfect care of his body. Meanwhile, DK Metcalf, what's Derrick Henry's 30, 31. DK's what, 25, 26. He says he wakes up, he drinks coffee, then he eats candy, and then he eats one meal at 8 o'clock. So, Metcalf is probably gonna have to go on that Derrick Henry diet probably when he turns 30 years old, maybe sooner. He's not gonna be able to get away with just drinking coffee and eating candy. He's gonna start feeling like a crackhead probably as he gets older. I know if I did that, it would probably feel like a crackhead. But maybe he's just blowing off that caffeine and that sugar for the first 12 hours of the day. With that little intermittent fast he's doing. Charbonnet, man, 18 for 91. Wasn't ever a big Charbonnet guy. Always thought, Kenny Walker was a lot better. But, he's solid. Like, Charbonnet has good size. He's solid. Like, gets it done here. 18 of 91, 5.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's just killer if you're a Kenneth Walker owner like I am. It just looked absolutely awesome week 1. And, he's got something going with that abdomen shit. And he had it last year, or he had like that hernia thing. There's something going on there. You just hope it's not a surgery. You hope it's not. He hasn't gone on the IR. But maybe Charbonnet's kind of earned a bigger role now when Walker comes back. We'll see. But you keep rolling Charbonnet out there. Kenny McIntosh is not doing anything of note. Jackson Smith, Nick Jigba, big game last week, just 3 for 39 here. Lockett 5 for 46. Noah Fant goes for 6 for 60 and 6 targets. Wow, that is interesting. I always like Noah Fant, but like they don't use him. Like I don't know. Like but again, if you want to take a chance, I don't mind it. But it's going to be very inconsistent. And Nick Jigba is probably going to be inconsistent too. I think the most reliable guy in this passing game all year is going to be Metcalf. Jigba will have some big games like he did last week. Lockett's still going to be in the mix, though. Going to be a little bit of a thorn. And Metcalf kind of has that Odunze role in this, grub offense coming over from Washington. No other pickups here. Again, maybe Noah Fant if you're desperate for tight end. 6 for 6. That's got to be one of the best games for Fant in like 2 years. All right, back to the comments, guys. Let's get up here. Supersize Senpai says, should I drop Raheem Mostert for Bucky Irving? Sheesh. I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. We'll see if Mostert gets back for week 4. He's been out the last 2 weeks. He was limited in practice last week, but didn't play. Then he was out. Now he's limited again. So I don't know. I don't know what the heck is going to happen with Raheem Mostert. I want to kind of say yes. Like, I want that younger back, but I don't know, man. I'm, you know what? I'm just gonna say hold on to Raheem. Hopefully, maybe you got another guy you could drop. But if you want to do that, do it. Says Adorism says, Steve, come on, man. Be professional, no pain, no gain. Yeah, man, I'm gonna press through it, bro. Don't worry about it. Chandler Constantino says, what's up, brother? Would you start Ford or Mostert? Start Carr or Stroud? Flex Jennings or Steele? Again, not really a stardom sit-em show. More of a recap. And we're going to be doing the face-off start of sit-em starting Thursday and then Friday as well. But I'll look at this for you real quick. Let me just pull up the schedule for this week. I'm still in week 3 mode, but we do want to get you ready for week 4. So let's see. What do you got here, buddy? Would you start Ford or Mostert? We don't even know if Mostert's going to play. First off, we got to get him, back out there. But the Dolphins play the Titans on Monday night. We got 2 more Monday night games. So it's not a bad matchup. But you may have to wait till Monday to find out if Mostert's going to play. So you're probably going to have to go with Jerome Ford against the Raiders, which isn't a bad one. So I'd probably go with Ford unless we hear Mostert's definitely going to play. He's full in practice. Then maybe I would go Mostert with the Huntley coming in against the Titans. I don't mind it. But most likely you're going to have to start Ford in that spot. Carr or Stroud, and Derek Carr comes back down to earth last week. The Texans, who do they got this week? The Jaguars. Yeah, this is going to be Carr. I mean, not Carr. This is going to be CJ Stroud this week. The Saints are playing the Falcons. Yeah, I'm going to go with CJ Stroud, definitely. And then if Jennings or Steele, sounds like Debo and Kittle are going to be out once again. And why rush them back against the Patriots, right? So, and then also Kareem Hunt. They cut Keontae Ingram. Kareem Hunt is elevated now. Could mess up Steele. So you got to go with Juwan Jennings. Stick with the hot hand. Ayuk will get the Christian Gonzalez treatment. So, yeah, we like Juwan Jennings there, man. I appreciate the question, brother. Thinks Andrews gets it going. Also from Chandler Constantino. Now, I think he will, but he's not going to be the consistent option he was in the past. I mean, look what they did last week. They were playing like power run football, with Charlie Kohler in there and shit blocking. And I think Derrick Henry just changed the dynamic of this offense. They want to be like a power running team at times too. So, yeah, I mean, Andrews is going to suffer for that. So, he'll have some big games. He'll have some good games, but it's just not going to be the Andrews show with Lamar Jackson like it was in the past. Adam, appreciate that question. Those questions, man. Adorism Fantasy Sports says the Bears are the Colorado of the NFL, the team you want to see fail. I want to root for Colorado, bro. I'm on the other side, so I like Dion, man. I mean, I watched that game last week. Shedeur Sanders, that was incredible. The play before the guy dropped the touchdown, and then the next play he gets done with that bomb. I mean, yeah, Dion does good. He's obviously they're a little annoying, but um, he's done a good job, man. That team was horrific. He turned around the program, and that was a great win. And his son is, he gets the job done. Adarith says Caleb's comment. It's not the job. It's not the job to get the ball to them, but their job to catch the ball. I didn't see that comment. Yeah, Caleb kind of runs me the wrong way a little bit sometimes too. I wasn't really high on him. I had a lot of concerns about him. I like Jaden Daniels more. Watching some of those college games last year, specifically that Notre Dame game, he really, really struggled. And that's kind of what you're seeing in the NFL. So, some guys are just made more for college sometimes than the NFL. I'm not saying that Caleb's going to be a total bust, but he's going to have a lot of struggles this year for sure. And it's not going to be that pretty. And again, this might be a case where they made a big mistake by moving off fields. At a Rhythm Sports says, I love Tucker for a deep league. I do too. He says, I'll be here all night. Better return to favor. I will. Dark chocolate, baby. Yeah, no, man. I got to get some freaking something in my system right now. Super Size Senpai says, no way Bucky will be on waivers at this week. So I either pull the trigger or I don't. If you want to do it, bro, go ahead. I don't mind it. They could be about the same the rest of the way. But Mostert certainly, got to get the leg up in that offense and that way they want to run the football. And, at this point, you have to expect Tua back at some point this year. Maybe after this IR stint is possible. But I do think Tyler Huntley will help the offense a little bit. So if you want to pull the trigger, I don't mind it, man. But I do think Mostert has the leg up. Koresh Sarai says traded Jamar Chase and McLaurin for Devonta Smith and DK. How bad did I mess up? Koresh, Jamar Chase and McLaurin for Devonta Smith. No, I mean, I don't think you messed up too much. Obviously, you'd rather have Jamar Chase is the best player in that deal, but DK's looking good. Devonta is still very solid. Him and McLaurin should be about the same. I think the rest of the way, McLaurin could be better now with the way Jaden looked and finally getting going, but they could be similar. And DK, man, he could be close to Chase this year. So I don't think you messed up too bad. Obviously, Chase is the guy, the number one guy there. He was a first round pick. But I don't think you messed up that much, man. It still could work out. It's not terrible. Adarith says that's harsh. I don't think it's that bad. Could work out, brother. And I kind of saw what you were doing there. You got a little bit impatient with McLaurin. So you gave up McLaurin and Chase to get Devonta and DK. Let's hope that Devonta gets back out there this week after getting rocked. Right? He got ripped. Keep it coming, fellas. Appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And also follow me on X at Fantasy 7. All right. Couple more games to get to here. We got Baltimore and Dallas. Did go back actually and rewatch this whole game. Dak he missed a lot of throws. He was off throwing the ball behind guys, kind of in the dirt. Ferguson, man, he played a hell of a game. He's a good player, man. He's legitimately not just a target hog. He's not like a Tyler Higbee that is like a system tight end that catches a bunch of easy ass, delayed routes and screens. Like Ferguson legitimately is a good tight end, man. So a great value in drafts. 6 for 95, 11 targets. He looked fully healthy coming back from that MCL injury. CeeDee Lamb had a rough game, couple drops, fumbles the ball, 4 for 67. But remember last year, took Dak and CeeDee. It was like the first 5 or 6 games. CeeDee didn't really start out too great, and then they went off. So I expect that to happen too. Again, I think Dak's is kind of getting a rhythm. Again, he finishes the game strong though, but throws it 51 times, 28 of 51, 379, 2 touchdowns. Doesn't have a pick. Could have had a couple picks. Got a little lucky. But he connects to Tolbert for a touchdown, connects to Gavante Turpin for a touchdown. And this Cowboys offense will get it rolling soon. CD will start getting it rolling soon. So you just got to be patient. I like Jalen Tolbert as a pickup. I think they should utilize him more. Even Turpin, like I think he's got to be a guy to keep an eye on too. He's freaking quick. But I rather have Tolbert out of those guys. Brandon Cooks just 2 for 16. I think Tolbert could kind of step over him at some point. But Ferguson is a smash, man, every single week. Now that he's back healthy. And then as far as the running backs, Rico 8 for 32, Zeke 3 for 6, Deuce 2 for 5. They just got to commit to one guy, I think, here. Maybe Reek or Deuce, because Zeke is 97,000 years old. Just keep Zeke for like short yardage and goal line. And I mean, I guess it's got to be Rico. He's more the bigger size, but I kind of like Deuce a little bit too. Like if you gave him like 15 touches in a game, might not look so bad. But they got to just commit to one guy. Like this 3-headed monster thing is not working out at all. So whether it's Rico, whether it's Zeke, whether it's Deuce, I think they just got to commit to one guy. So Deuce Vaughn is like I kind of like coming out of Kansas State a little bit, but he's so small. And again, he could just be more of like a CH where he was just a better fit for college than the NFL. But he is pretty quick. They tried to throw like a wheel route to him last week, and he did create a little bit of separation, but Dak's hand got hit on the throw. So, just a deep name, possible. Maybe he elevates at some point, but we'll see. I try to cover all bounds on this show, give you every possible thought about pickups here in the future. On the other side, Lamar, 12 of 15, 182, throws one touchdown, runs one in, goes for 87 yards. Lamar is running like a maniac this year, dropped some weight, looks a little bit quicker actually. So, he's producing for your teams. Slow day for the receivers, though. We already talked about Mark Andrews, the way they want to run the ball. Even John Harbaugh alluded to it. There's going to be some games where they want to run the ball. They're going to get these heavy packages in, and Andrews is going to be blocking or he's going to be out of the game. So it's ugly. And then freaking Likely's running more routes than him, but Likely only catches one ball. Zay Flowers only has 3 catches for 20 yards after a nice game. So this was a game where they just wanted to freaking feature Derrick Henry and pound the rock. They ran it 39 times with Henry and Lamar. So, when you got that, it's hard for the receivers to really get going. Maybe one guy, but it was spread all around. No, not one guy did one, big thing. So, it's going to be frustrating for Mark Andrews owners this year. It's really going to suck. Even Likely too. Like I thought Likely was going to be a thing every week, but not like Henry again. I think he's kind of just changed the whole dynamic of this offense now. It's going to hurt all these guys. You might see a couple more games like this where the receivers just don't do shit, and Henry just goes off. So it's a little concerning. But if you took Henry, you feel good. Obviously, if you took Lamar, you feel good. Still like Zay Flowers. Obviously, like the only real receiver. Although Bateman actually had 3 for 28 and caught a touchdown. Not going crazy to go after Bateman though. I'm just not going crazy. But if you could trade Mark Andrews now, I think I'd do it. Or maybe wait for him to game for a pop. But it might just, maybe he pops next week. It's a different game script, and then you could deal because I just see a lot of inconsistencies here. But I could be wrong. But that's it. Cowboys lose 28-25. Almost pulled off the comeback, but don't. Ravens get off the schneid with their first win of the year. Next game, Detroit versus Arizona. Kyler Murray, decent week 1 against the Bills. Then week 2, he looked great. Threw him dimes left and right to Harrison. But not so great in this game. 21 of 34, 207. This is kind of what Kyler does. Struggles to throw the ball sometimes, has some bad games throwing. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, does run for 45 more yards. Harrison gets in the end zone again, 5 for 64 and a touchdown. Michael Wilson, 8 for 64. Trey McBride, slow day, but he did get that concussion. He like rammed his head into the guy, came out of the game. I think that was like maybe the 3rd or 4th quarter, a little later in the game, but still a slow day. but not worried about Trey McBride. Still think he can finish tight end 1. Greg Dortch, 3 for 35. Michael Wilson's interesting here. He might be out there on some wires. Kind of like him. He could step up over Dortch here. So don't mind that pickup. Trey Benson, man, like I have him in a lot of leagues, and it's just like there's other guys to pick up. I don't really want to cut him, but like he's not doing anything. Like he's not getting any carries. Basically, when he gets carries, not really doing anything with it. Connor, bad day, 9 for 17, but Connor's still the guy here. So like, there's other guys to pick up, and you need receivers, you need it on the running back, you need a tight end. I hate dropping Trey Benson because I feel like if he steps into this role with a Connor injury, which we've seen in the past, he could be really nice. But you got at some point you got to do what you got to do. So I've moved off of him in a couple spots. I still hold him in a decent amount of leagues. But if you have to move off him, I don't mind. On the other side, Goff, 18 of 23, 199, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Montgomery, 23 carries for $105 and a touchdown. Excellent season for him so far. Jahmyr Gibbs, still very solid, 16 for 18, 83. The 0 catch for 20 yards and a touchdown. He caught that hook and lateral from Amon-Ra St. Brown, gets into the end zone that way. So, like, Montgomery and Gibbs are kind of like on the same pace right now. I mean, I kind of expected Gibbs to move ahead of him at some point this year, but I don't know. Montgomery's having a hell of a season. He looks great. So this might just be a 50-50 thing all year. But I do think they got to get Gibbs a little bit more involved in the pass game. So we'll see if that happens. Laporta, another slow day. And they were saying like Laporta with his knee injury early, and like he wasn't really in the game plans the first couple weeks, and he was going to be in this game plan, but it didn't work out again. Amon-Ra St. Brown, most consistent guy, 7 for 75, 1 touchdown. J-Mo doesn't do anything, 1 for 9. And I was saying J-Mo was going to take a bigger role, could potentially be the number 1 guy, could affect Amon-Ra St. Brown, but the last 2 weeks that has not been the case. Amon-Ra has still been the reliable guy that Goff loves to target. But that could change. Obviously, I think it still could be Laporta 1 week, still could be Jameson 1 week, and St. Brown might not be the beast, the absolute beast he's been fantasy-wise the past couple of years, but he could very well be once again. I still think J-Mo will get more involved. Again, this was just a shitty game. I don't know what the hell happened here. This was very weird. Even gets a carry that goes for -7 for J-Mo. So better days ahead for him. Better days ahead for Laporta. But yeah, I mean, Laporta's going to suffer from the J-Mo presence, from the fact that Montgomery and Gibbs are getting so many carries because they're just dominating running the football. And it's just not going to be as good as last year. We just if you took Laporta this year, you just overpaid. I mean, that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. No pickups here of note. Tim Patrick, I liked him. I thought the Broncos should have kept him, but unless there's an injury, nothing there. Keep him on the waiver. All right. Keep it rolling here. Koresh says, thanks for the answer, brother. Thank you for the question, man. Make sure to like, subscribe. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. Adam Rhythm Fantasy Sports says, if Smith misses a game, does Dotson have a chance? I don't know, man. I don't know if Dotson's any good. And A.J. Brown could come back this week, right? I haven't seen the practice reports yet. But that is a hammy. He could be out for another week. I mean, I guess if both those guys are out, I mean, they got to throw the ball to freaking somebody. So it would probably be a lot of Barkley, Goddard, Dotson, maybe Johnny Wilson. So yeah, I mean, if both those guys are out, I mean, he has to see target because there's like nobody else. That game was trash. That Dallas let it get out of control like it did. Yeah, I mean, that freaking pass to Aguilar, I forget that corner's name on Dallas, number 21. Terrible tackling. He let Aguilar just go all the way down the field. Then Derrick Henry stiff-armed the shit out of him as well. He had a rough day. Number 21 in Dallas, that corner, I believe, on the left side. And then Dak was missing throws. He was struggling. But then he got into a flow at the end of the game. So we'll see if that carries over to last week. But again, that passing game struggled to really get going a little bit to like week 6 last year. And then it kind of really blew up with him and CD going nuts. Recon XBXB says, yo, what's up, man? Got any questions, let me know. And Adderham Fantasy Sports hanging with us all night long. Jameson's year to boom or bust this year. We haven't seen his ceiling yet. I agree. He looked excellent the first 2 weeks. Bad game last week. That could certainly change. And I believe it will. I think J-Mo's done everything right this year. So he'll be back possibly this week with another big game. All right, let's keep it moving here. San Fran Rams. I took the Rams in this game, plus 6.5. I didn't feel great about it, but my numbers kind of said, take the Rams. And we threw it on the pick show. And the Rams pull out the upset here. 6.5-point dogs. Moved up to 7. 16 of 25 for Stafford. 221, gets 1 touchdown. Kyron with the volume once again. 24 for 89 on the ground. 2 touchdowns. Catches 2 balls for 27. Runs a nice angle route to get in the end zone for the touchdown. So Kyron he's the man. It's Ronnie Rivers. Blake Corum is nowhere to be seen. So that was just a false concern about the Blake Corum stuff. It's Kyron's job all the way until he gets hurt. He's getting the job done just like he did last year. He's just very well trusted by McVay. McVay shouted him out after the game. I was a little bit concerned about McVay too, because like his word salad last year with Cam Akers is going to have a big role with us. And then after 1 week, they just gave up on him. Like they went right to Kyron. So, and then we heard him talk up Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers before. I don't know. There was something just going on, I guess, with him and Cam Akers. He really does like Kyron Williams for sure. So if you took Kyron in the second round, third round, obviously you paid a pretty penny compared to last year, but he's paying dividends once again. And Kyron Williams won a lot of people fantasy championships with the way he performed last year. And the Rams offensive line, all banged up, seemingly gets it done. They patch it together, make it work. And, at some point they should get Cooper back. The offensive line should get healthier, and they should get Puka and Cooper back. So, the Rams are surviving right now. Get a huge win. They needed this win. So, they got to keep getting a couple more wins until they get healthier. DeMarcus Robinson, disappointing game, just 1 for 32. We all kind of expected him to have a big day and kind of be that number one guy. Jordan Whittington, popular pickup, 3 for 28. I still like Whittington as a pickup while Puka and Kupp are out. I'd give him another shot this week. He kind of reminds me like another Puka. Colby Parkinson. I mean, he's not another, very untalented tight end that just blocks well, kind of like Higbee and just part of the system. Davis Allen, who I kind of liked, has been out the past 2 weeks. But if Davis Allen gets healthy this week, it's possible that he kind of eats into Parkinson a little bit. So that's just something to look out for. David, my God, why I keep pronouncing this guy's name? It's getting late, boys. Davis Allen could jump Parkinson at one point, but they did pay Parkinson. He probably is the better blocker, so his job's safe, but he's just not a talented player. Again, this guy has done nothing in his career, wherever he's been. Tutu Atwell leads the Rams, 4 for 93. So it's Tutu Atwell show again. But I don't know. Is it going to be Whittington? Is it going to be Robinson? Is it going to be Outwell? You probably want to keep all these guys on their bench. If you have to use Robinson or Whittington, I still prefer those two, but it could be Outwell again. He catches that 50-yard bomb, which helps his numbers. But, if somebody cuts Blake Corum, I'd still pick him up and stash him, though, because if something happens to Kyron, then Corum is going to get the role. They're going to go over Rivers. It's not going to be Rivers. It's going to be Corum. Ronnie Rivers is not good. All right, on the other side, Brock Purdy, 22 of 30. Great game for him. 3 touchdowns, 292. Also runs for 41 yards. Mason, Doesn't get into the end zone this game, but goes 19 for 77, catches 2 for 11. Juwan Jennings. I mean, if he's out there in your league and you need a receiver this week, I mean, all day you got to go after him and spend a pretty penny because after that game, gets the Patriots this week. Ayuk's probably going to get the Christian Gonzalez treatment, and we'll see how long Kittle and Debo are out. Kittle's got a hammy. Debo, he's got a calf that could be last long, that could last a couple more games, and they're not going to bring him back this week against the Patriots. So, yeah, Jennings is going to be another good start this week. This guy's talented, man. Like, it's just underrated player. I've been talking about him for a while. I drafted him in my dynasty league this year in the 6th round because of the Ayuk situation, coming off what he did last year in the playoffs. He's just a big body, reliable receiver, and he had a hell of a game. Made some incredible catches in this game, 12 targets, 11 catches for $175, 3 freaking touchdowns, catching balls over the middle, catching balls deep, doing it all. Brandon Ayuk, 10 targets, but just 5 for 48. He will get it going. I'm going to stay patient with Brandon Ayuk. Took that whole freaking month off. Just be patient. It could come this week with him. And then we'll see what happens with CMC, man. He's visiting a doctor in Germany or a facility in Germany to get, alternative treatments, similar to like a cancer patient who can't get certain treatments. Treatments in America goes to Germany or Mexico to get alternative treatments. So we'll see what happens, man. Like, I don't know. Supposedly there was another athlete that did something similar. Was it Kobe? Yeah, Kobe, I think, also went to Germany maybe for his Achilles, and that helped him. But obviously he tore his Achilles. CMC didn't even tear it. But I guess he's at risk too. I guess I don't know. It's insane because before the season, John Lynch is like everything's fine. CMC looks good. He's gonna play week 1. If it was the playoffs, he'd be playing. I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't know what to believe anymore. You just got to hope as a CMC owner that he's back by like before week 10. And you took Mason. I did a 16-team league. I took Mason, thank God. And I took Mason in a couple other spots, but not in the spots where I have CMC, which is like 2 or 3 other spots. Isaac Guerendo finally gets some usage in this game, 5 for 19. So he's a guy you got to pick up. I mean, if he's out there, you got to grab him. I mean, if something happens to Mason, he's the guy. And, you want the running back in this system. It's absolute fantasy gold. So Isaac Guerendo's got to be on your radar this week, 100%. And that's it. Jacob Cowing didn't even play. Ronnie Bell looked terrible. I don't know if Cowing's going to he'll need another injury to be present here. So I like Cowing. But just more of a dynasty stash than anything. And that's really it, guys. The Rams get a huge win, 27-24. Niners now 1-2. Maybe a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. Brandon Ayuk should not have sat out of camp for a month. Out of Rhythm says, I want Ricky. Oh, yeah, it's true. You got Ricky Pearsall. Forgot to mention Ricky Pearsall. Thanks for bringing him up. I actually did pick him up in one league last week. And it sounds like Pearsall is going to be back. As soon as, after that IR stint, sounds like he's, almost ready to go. He's running routes and stuff, I think. But again, it will be tough, especially with the way Jennings just played. And you still got Ayuk in the way, and then Debo and Ayuk will be back. But if you want to take a chance on him, you're in a deep league, deep roster, and you got some waste like I did in that one league. I took a chance. I added him, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I move off him in a week or two, or maybe I just wait and see what he could do with the first couple of games he comes back. But thanks for bringing that back up. Rhythm Fantasy Sports is dropping Guerendo, Swift for Patterson and Johnson. Yeah, I mean, immediately, if you need guys to use, yeah, that's the move. Because Swift's been terrible. Now you got Roschon on the way. And Patterson, I think, will be better than Swift this week. Roschon has the role now. He's playing. Guerendo's still buried. Obviously, Guerendo has the most upside of all those guys. And if something happens to Mason this week, then you're going to kick yourself. But if you need to get a W this week, then yeah, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it would be great to keep Correndo if you could. 16 team deep league. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, man. I'm in a 16 team league too. It's actually kind of cool. I like to play in all different types of leagues. You learn how to maneuver and it's cool. All right, couple more games to get through, and then we'll call it a night. Take my magnesium like the old man I am before I go to bed, and my vitamin D. You got to do all that shit when you get old. Otherwise, you can't sleep right and shit. So it's a fucking hot mess. All right, Kansas City, Atlanta. Another good game here. Kansas City just keeps pulling these wins out of their ass, and Mahomes is not even playing all that great. 26-39, 217, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Rashee Rice going off this year. He's just like, you throw the ball to him like a 10-yard curl route, and he just like freaking picks up like 5-7 yards like every time. He's just solid, man. He's damn solid. Rashee Rice he's just so solid in that role. 12 catches, 110 yards, touchdown, 14 targets. Travis Kelce, man, Taylor Swift, maybe he's got to tell her, don't come over to the house until the season's over. I don't know. Do something 4 for 30. Got to cut that hair too, I think. But you expect things to get better. Supposedly they're double teaming him a lot. There's a lot of attention being paid. Juju Smith-Schuster catches a touchdown, 2 for 17. Rice left the game for like a play or two, and then Juju ran a drag route, which probably would have been Rice, and catches a touchdown. So I don't want to go after Juju Smith-Schuster. He's not on my radar. Xavier Worthy played a lot he ran the second most routes, but just 2 for 17. I think you just got to be patient with Worthy. Again, it took Rashee Rice a little while to get fully involved into this offense last year. I thought Reed should have went to Rice a little bit sooner because every time they targeted the ball, he looked good. But he didn't really get fully involved like week 8, week 9. So, Worthy is kind of playing more snaps, I think, than Rice was early on last year, just not delivering outside of week 1. But you just got to be patient. I mean, he could have some big games here. Just got to be patient. He's still a good talent. And the other guys behind him are not a threat. And then you got Hollywood Brown out for the year. So Worthy's just going to stick around. It just is. Noah Gray is like a guy that, like if you're in a tight end premium league or a deeper league, like I don't mind stashing. Just because like Kelce gets hurt, he steps in as the number 1 tight end, in this offense. Could be nice. At tight end premium, I add him in a couple leagues just because there's so many tight ends gone that, just taking a chance there. Carson Steele, 17 for 72. Decent day on the ground, just plowing away, basically. Catches just 1 ball for 2 yards. Samaje, 3 for 15. Samaje, 6 for 25 on the ground. But now you got Kareem Hunt, who Kareem Hunt was probably snatched up in most leagues. But if he's out there, I'm willing to take a chance on him if you need a running back. He knows the offense. He knows the system. Probably still the best back here out of these 3. And he could run and he could catch. He also has some kind of sports hernia surgery in the offseason, so I don't know what he's going to look like. But if you need a running back, I think it's worth a shot. And Pacheco should be back at some point, but it's probably not going to be till like I don't know, maybe week 13, maybe the fantasy playoffs he comes back. So I think you just hold Pacheco on your IR as long as you can until we hear something new. But no other pickups. I don't want Watson. Like I said, Gray, like in a tight end premium league. P. Ryan, I think he just, I don't think he's going to do much here. Hold Carson Steele, see what happens, how they shake that out with Kareem Hunt. And then the other side, Kirk Cousins, 20 of 29, 230, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Tyler Algier, 7 for 32. Bijan, 16 for 31. 1.9 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. I mentioned this 2 weeks ago when I did this recap, and I think Bijan's, he's a good player. but I think he just was overhyped as a prospect a little bit because he's not really showing that eliteness that we all kind of expected. And I remember watching his tape at Texas, and I was like, okay, he's good, but he's not like a Saquon when Saquon came out. And their offensive line sucked at Texas too. And I thought, maybe in the NFL, the better offensive line, he'd look better. But I don't know. 16 for 31 is ugly. Like he's not really breaking a lot of big plays. I don't know. I mean, he's getting so much usage. Obviously, he's still going to be great for fantasy. But um, I'm the only thing I'll say, and I said this 2 weeks ago. I just don't think he's like a generational or like an elite talent. Like I think he's good to very good, just not like an excellent elite talent. And that's kind of the hype he was getting. So may disagree, but that's just what I see kind of when I watch him. Drake London, 6 for 67, 1 touchdown. He's getting it going now, back-to-back weeks with touchdowns. Darnell Mooney staying consistent, 8 for 66. Kyle Pitts catches one big ball, but just 2 for 59. So I don't know, man. Kyle Pitts, another just overly hyped prospect. He was could be the best tight end in the history of the world, and people just went after him year after year after year. But I just watching him on tape, like his routes are sloppy. They're not really sharp. Doesn't seem like he's running full effort sometimes. And I know Kirk was talking about how he wanted him to put a little bit more speed into his routes because he could show more. And so maybe Pitts turns it on at some point and kind of puts a little more effort and, works on his route running a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, it's just not happening. So at what point do we say this is kind of who he is, you know? He caught one touchdown this year. He's wide open. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about Kyle Pitts. I just know when I watched him, the routes don't look great. They're sloppy. He's not really like a aggressive player. He doesn't break a lot of like he goes down kind of. I don't know. He's just another overhyped prospect. And fantasy people fell in love with this guy, and it just has not fully clicked yet. And when, if not now, when? Well, I don't know. Doesn't happen this year. Probably will never happen. Well, I guess you can't say that. Maybe he works nuts in the off season, works on his route running. Remember Vernon Davis way back when? Like it took him like 3 years, but this is year 4 now for Pitts. So I don't know what to say anymore. Ray McLeod still wearing that Ray Buchanan number 34, that old corner for the Falcons, if you guys remember. Every time I watch him, it looks like number 34. But Kirk Cousins, throwing the ball nice again for the most part. Gets the one pick. But the Falcons lose 22-17, now 1-2. Pull up that other game late. They almost went 0-3. To the Eagles. They pulled that game out of their ass. So we all expected the Falcons to kind of turn it up, be better this year. Tough schedule. They get to play the Panthers twice. That will help. They got the Saints, the Bucks, 2 rough games, and then they get the Panthers, Seahawks, the Bucks, the Cowboys, the Saints. So we'll see how the Falcons turn out. That over-under was 9.5. I think it went up to 10. But I bet the guys in the Face Off Sports channel the under just because everybody was taking the Falcons to be over. So sometimes you just play contrarian and it works out. Let's see here, guys. Let's see. Algorithm's messing around. He says, you're 55. No, I'm 41, bro. I was running around the bases like a maniac tonight. And it's fucking 3:00 in the morning on the East Coast. But I'm hanging in there, brother. You got Rice in 6th, the 8th round of his drafts. He was being off. Yeah. In the beginning, Rice was going, sixth round. I mean, I guess way in the beginning, it was like 7th, 8th. Then it was like the 6th. Then it went like the 5th. Then it was like 4th. And then by the time, the Chiefs opened up week 1, he was going like the 2nd round. if you were drafting after that point. So he just kept moving up and moving up. And that's what sometimes you want to draft early because you get that value. And one of my best teams, actually, I drafted June 9th, and I got Rice in the 6th round. So it works if you draft early sometimes. I said it before last season, Bryce is going to be the number one. Yeah, good call there, man. Sky Moore stinks. They didn't really have a lot of guys last year either. And you kind of saw that Rice had that chance. He looked great in college. And it just, Reed, it was weird. Reed was like, he was looking good, but he wasn't giving like all the snaps. And by like week 8, week 9, he just threw him in there. And he says, I'm sure your waivers will be processing during the stream. How much FAAB did you burn this week? No, most of my FAAB stuff is going to be tomorrow night going into the Thursday morning. I did do, but no, oh yeah, true. Yahoo drops at like 3:00. I did drop like $30 on Roshan in a best ball league where you can make pickups. He's like the only good guy. I don't know if I got him or not. I didn't check it. We'll see. Yahoo, I don't do much in the one league because it's a 16-team league. There wasn't much out there. And the other league that I'm in, and my other CBS leagues, those are tomorrow too. The other Yahoo league, I think I just went after a IDP player. I think I went after Will McDonald this week to go after Trevor Lawrence, cutting Chris Jones, going after Will McDonald. Not Will McDonald. Will Anderson Jr. I already have Will McDonald. All right. Couple games left. Then we're done. We only got the Monday nights, which we just saw 2 nights ago now. But the Bills come out and absolutely dominate, 47-10. Allen, to me, is playing like the best quarterback in the league. I kind of always felt like again, I wanted Allen over Darnold. I kind of saw it early with him. Like he just, watching him in Wyoming, like he made throws I've never seen quarterbacks make and plays with his legs were just incredible. Even though, there's a ton of inaccuracies, a lot of people doubted him. And, it's still rearing its ugly head. And to this day, people still just have they just can't come together and say Allen is like a good quarterback, or it's just very weird. Like the most overrated player he gets by the player. Like there's people just still doubting this guy. And I just like, do you watch football? Do you watch games? Easily the most fun player to watch for me. And he goes out there 23 of 30 in the first half, basically all his damage done, 4 touchdowns, 263, runs for another 44. To me, the Bills are the best team in the NFL right now, and Allen is the best quarterback or playing like the best quarterback. Obviously, Mahomes has the championship, so like you can't say he's better than Mahomes, but I do think like as far as playing in the regular season and even in the playoffs, like his numbers are elite. 21 touchdowns, 4 picks. I'm not even counting the rushing yards. He is just, man, he's just getting better and better. And moving off Diggs, I think, helped his team. I mean, Shakir looks great. 6 for 72 and a touchdown. Breaks another tackle for a touchdown. Kincaid gets going. 3 for 41. Even Keon catches a touchdown. Samuel 3 catches. Mac Hollins, Scantling, Knox, Ray Davis. So, like, they're just spreading it all around. This is like similar to what the Patriots did with Tom Brady. Like a bunch of these like no big name receivers, but the system worked. They just spread it around. Everybody just knows their role. And sometimes that's what you need. I mean, remember when the Patriots had Randy, like they had that undefeated season, but they couldn't win the Super Bowl. The Giants beat them. And then he's got receivers like David Patton and freaking Troy Brown. And then you get the Wes Walkers, the Edelmans of the world, but just getting it done. So I think the team chemistry is all the way to the top. DeMar Hamlin's getting a pick yesterday, which is unbelievable. Watching that game, the guy almost died on the field. I mean, I was like about to freaking cry. I thought it would be the worst thing I ever seen in sports. Watching a guy almost die in the field, that was insane. But thank God he recovered. Then he gets a pick. And yeah, the Bills just look awesome. Joe Brady saved the day, man. Dorsey's, was just so focused on like Diggs, and, just very, very predictable offense. And Brady comes in, establishes the run. gets the run game going, and distributes the ball around more, and it's just all working. He's done a hell of a job. Allen looks great. This guy, he's experienced some of the worst offensive line play early on in his career too, and just evaded pressure like nobody else could, making throws like nobody else could. So to me, he's the best quarterback in the league right now, even over Mahomes. Obviously, if I'm going to rank all time, I'm going to put Mahomes ahead just because Mahomes has the 3 titles. But like right now, this year, Allen is the MVP. He's playing like the best quarterback, and the Bills are the best team, and Allen's the funnest guy to watch. And then on the other side, Trevor Lawrence, man, like watching him last week got outplayed by Deshaun Watson. It just rolled up to this week. This was like a smash pick to take the Bills this week, which I did. I picked them. 21 of 38, buck 78, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Takes 4 more sacks. Like pressure comes and he's like rolling out. And he doesn't know how to move in the pocket. He's just panicking. It's been bad, man. He can't evade pressure. He's not quick enough. His pocket presence doesn't look good. He's regressing, and it's big time trouble in Jacksonville right now. 0-3. Christian Kirk finally gets a good game though. 8 for 79. Brian Thomas, I'm not worried about him. He's going to get deep shots. Lawrence actually has looked the best when targeting him, but it was a good sign to see Kirk go off. Gabe Davis, forget about him. Parker Washington, I kind of like him, but needs an injury. ETN, 11 for 68. Tank Bigsby, forgotten about. Tank Bigsby got popped on a kickoff return last week. And I think he didn't really play last week. After that hit, he got popped. I think he fumbled, but they recovered it. But yeah, I mean, like the Tank's Bigsby worry, forget about it. ETN's still way ahead. 4 catches for 17 for Bigsby. I mean, if you're an ETN owner, Bigsby has a handcuff, but I don't think he's going to really be a threat here to overtake ETN. Even Dearness Johnson's getting a couple carries. Brenton Strange, decent pickup. If you had Evan Ingram or needed tight end help, you got that cheapy touchdown, but gets it done. Had a good game the week before. And that's it. I mean, the Jaguars are a hot mess, but I still like Thomas. Be patient with Kirk. I still like Thomas as the number 1, though. This was a tough matchup. The Bills have been erasing receivers. They shut down Harrison. They shut down the Miami receivers. So it was good to see Thomas have 4 for 48 in this game. And Christian Benford is a really good corner for the Bills as well. And they've been playing lights out defense. Bills defense, if they're out there, 100% go after them. Ray Davis is a good stash in case something happens to Cook, but Cook is still way ahead, 11 for 39. Ray Davis gets the garbage time touchdown. Cook dropped another touchdown in this game. Allen put it right in his mitts. We've seen that the past couple of years where Cook has done that, but still catches 4 for 48. Ty Johnson catches a touchdown. Absolute dime throw from Allen rolling to his left. Keon Coleman, I don't have too many high hopes for him. I think Shakir's the guy. They're going to spread this around. It's going to be Shakir, Kincaid, then probably Coleman. And then we'll see about Samuel, but I think Matt Collins will eat into Coleman's production a little bit, maybe Scaling as well. But we'll see about Coleman. Maybe he steps it up as the year goes on, but didn't exactly love that pick by the Bills. Thought maybe they should have traded down to get Brian Thomas, or maybe should have traded for Rashid Shaheed, something like that. But we'll see. Just got to be patient right now. But the Bills just dominating last night on Monday Night Football. All right, last game, guys. Then we'll finish up with the comments and get the hell out of here. We had another really good game on Monday night between the Bengals and the Commanders. And the Bengals, start out hot, Chase scoring touchdowns, 2 touchdowns on the day on the patented down the sideline. Chase getting that separation. Burrow just hitting them right on the money. 6 for 118. 2 touchdowns on 7 targets. Yoshivash, finally pronounced that guy's name right. 5 for 52 and a touchdown. Had a touchdown last week as well. Gesicki, another good game, 4 for 47. So Gesicki, if he was out there on your wire last week and you missed him and he's still out there, I like going after him once again. T. Higgins comes back, his first game back from injury. little bit of a slow start. He'll have better games, 3 for 39. Burrow looked pretty damn good here. 29 of 38, 324, 3 touchdowns, and a great matchup against the Commanders' shit defense. The problem here was, and one more thing of note here. Zach Moss gets the touchdown late, 12 for 58, but Chase Brown, 7 for 62, looking explosive. Zach Moss playing kind of way ahead of him, but they got to get Chase Brown a little bit more usage here and find ways to get him the ball, especially in the pass game. He's kind of like the Eckler of this team a little bit. Just very, very explosive. Get him the ball ASAP, a little bit more. So we'll see if that happens, but Moss is still ahead of him for now. Like this spot for Moss, he delivered by getting the touchdown. Also catches 5 for 39. But the other side, the Bengals defense cannot stop the Commanders. Lou Anarumo had no answers for Jaden Daniels, who had a coming out party, man. This was his best game of his rookie season. 21 of 23, 254, 2 touchdowns, 2 absolute dimes to Terry McLaurin earlier in the game, and then late in the game takes that hit, throws it right in the money. Terry comes down with it, 4 for 100 and a touchdown. So finally Terry McLaurin gets it going after 2 rough weeks. And then Daniels runs for 12 for 39 and a touchdown. He's going to be fantasy gold, man. Like another great value at quarterback. And again, even if his passing numbers aren't great every week, he's still going to run. So that was kind of the thought about taking him. Even if his passing numbers weren't great, his rushing numbers would be excellent. And he's just simply getting the job done. Luke McCaffrey, man, 3 for 44, opens up the game with like a 30-yard catch, but he looked good. Like he looked quick, fast. Again, he ran a faster 40 time than his brother. And if you didn't hear me say it, I'll say it one more freaking time. Luke McCaffrey's, and CMC's, obviously we know Ed McCaffrey, but his mom was like this is the last time I'll say this. His mom was a all pro, like all-star soccer player at Stanford. And then her father was from Jersey, was an Olympic runner, won like a gold medal in 1966 Olympics from Fair Lawn, New Jersey, born in Patterson. So elite bloodline, elite athleticism. McCaffrey, man, I think, if he's out there, go pick him up now with the way Daniels is looking. He's just going to get better and better. Again, he started as a quarterback in college at Nebraska and then moved over to receiver at Rice the last couple seasons, led the team in receiving last year, made a ton of big time catches. So, he is the number 2. There's no more Dotson. No, Brown's in the way a little bit. Miami hasn't done anything. Luke McCaffrey's the guy you want. Zach Ertz, 5 for 38. They did try to go to Sanat on one deep route. He kind of was open, but they missed him. But Ertz is going to be there until Ertz gets hurt. Sanat's not really going to do anything. But if Ertz does get hurt, then I would give Sanat a chance on your teams. But right now he's just buried. But great performance from Daniels. This Commanders offense looks great. Brian Robinson Jr., another touchdown, 16 for 33. Eckler looked great on a kickoff return. Had a nice 24-yard run. He gets a touchdown on that run. 3 for 35, 2 catches for 22. Did leave the game with a concussion, but Eckler looks much healthier than last year. So the Commanders, their defense is terrible, but if Dan Quinn can kind of get this defense rolling a little bit, with his experience, get these guys playing, the offense certainly looks very, very formidable. So great win for the Commanders. Another survivor disaster if you took the Bengals, which I did. I'm in a bunch of survivor leagues and I have a lot of picks, but I lost some picks yesterday for sure with Tampa and Cincy. Also had the Jets and the Bills, but whatever. It's a long road ahead, but a ton of people knocked out of survivor. But the Commanders are now 2-1. And absolute huge win. And Jaden Daniels looks like that guy right now, and definitely ahead of Caleb Williams. So that is it. Let's get to the comments, guys. And we'll wrap this baby up. Back to our boy Out of Rhythm, who is just chilling with us all night long. Another IDP says Granderson. What team is he on, man? sacks and been getting sacks the past couple of weeks. I'll look at him as well. $150 of FAAB was tossed on Bucky. I mean, for what, $1,000? Yeah, that's not bad. Oh, nice, bro. We're the same age. Sweet. T-Law looked like he was blind out there. Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's doing, bro. You starting Daniels rest of the season? I start, yeah, dude, 100%. I have good amount of Daniels. So yeah, 100%, man. I mean, when you took Daniels, you took another quarterback too, maybe like a Rodgers or a Carr or something like that, or maybe picked up Carr or something. Or maybe there's certain matchups he could sit him, but I don't know because he runs so damn much. Yeah, what are you gonna do? You gotta drop Sanat. And that's it, man. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. 2 hours, 21 minutes. We're finishing this baby at 3:30. Too late. But we got a Kane coming in here to Florida starting tomorrow. I got to move everything outside, inside. It's going to start hitting Thursday night. I'm on the East Coast, but it's coming from the West Coast, and it's going to be a massive storm, like 400 miles wide. So we'll get some effects, probably tropical storm stuff, but you never know. These tornadoes come behind it. So you just want to be prepared. But I appreciate you guys checking me out tonight. Please, once again, like, subscribe, share. Appreciate that. And follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. We will be back next week for week 5. Hopefully, we'll be back. Hopefully, I can get to watch some more games as well to get a little bit more deep insights so we can get you ready for week 5. But tear up week 4. Pick up some of those guys I mentioned. Improve your teams. Don't let that waste sit there. Always try to improve your teams every single week. Try to stay ahead of the waiver wire. If you could add some of those IR guys I mentioned, like Kendre Miller, like Marshawn Lloyd or Aldrich Estime, do that. One more pickup. Well, we talked about this too, but Roman Wilson was another guy. We went over all these guys. We got totally into it. And we broke it all down. So appreciate you guys. Take care. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Enjoy the Thursday night game. Enjoy the Sunday night games. Have a great weekend. Stay safe if you're in Florida or if you're in the path of this hurricane, which looks like it's going to hit, Georgia and all those, southeastern states. But until then, guys, take care. We'll see you soon. Yo, vintage got the boom.